In 2008, a supposed Illuminati insider went onto an internet forum and opened up a question and answer session in which the public at large could ask him anything that they'd like about any topic. What I'm about to read to you is that question and answer session. I'm sharing this because I feel like it may benefit. Some of the information may help some of you out there. So, take what resonates with you and discard the rest. Here we go. I am a generational member of a ruling bloodline family. Every so often, as per the directives of the law of our Creator, a brief window of opportunity opens whereby a select handful of our family are required to make communication with our subjects and offer you the chance to ask us any questions you would like answered. I am double bound in this duty. It is required of me by the law of our Creator to offer this opportunity to you at this time, though I am also bound by the law of free will and by family oaths, that there is only so much I am able to say. Rules define life in games. If you wish to participate, here they are. Number 1, I will afford you courtesy and respect in the manner I address you, and I expect the same in reciprocation. Number 2, I will decide whether or not I am either willing or permitted to answer your question. If your question is not answered, it is either because I cannot disclose it, or because I consider your question was lacking in one or more of the following: respect, courtesy, intelligence, decency, or that it was otherwise unworthy of being dignified with a response. Number 3, that you agree to treat this potential dialogue with an aspect of provisional faith. In practice, this means that rather than impeding the flow of information with crass comments or disbelief or petty name-calling, my participation here requires of you that you discourse with me under suspended judgment. In other words, wait until the process is complete before deciding for yourself as to the content of truth and knowledge imparted herein. Number 4, that you formulate your questions intelligently. My time is limited. I do not want to waste it by having to trawl through pointless, futile, insensible, or disrespectful questions. Therefore, I will answer the questions I feel are the most deserving of a response during the time that I have available. Use the time we have wisely. If any of the above conditions are breached, I reserve the right to terminate our discourse forthwith, if I so choose. That being said, I will attempt to answer your questions as honestly and openly as is permissible for me. I will check back and respond as time allows. How many generations back does your bloodline extend? Or perhaps more accurately, who does your family consider its earliest ancestor in a position of power? Our lineage can be traced back beyond antiquity, from the earliest times of your recorded history and beyond. Our family has been directing the play from behind the scenes in one way or another. Before the rise and fall of Atlantis, yes, that was indeed perfectly real. We are born to lead. It is our part of the design for this current paradigm. To what extent has selective breeding been used to preserve the purity of the line? And what becomes of children of unapproved unions? They would naturally still be raised with privilege, but not perhaps given the keys to the castle, as it were? The breeding is generally case-specific, depending upon the role that family member in question are due to grow into. I will touch more on this in answer to the next poster's question that you rephrased. There are no unapproved unions. Our family will always intermarry between lines, or what we would term houses. Marriages are arranged. In all my years alive, I have never seen or heard of a family member breaking this code. as far as marriage goes. You do as you are told. One cannot join the family. One is born or incarnated into it. On the rare instances of a child being born that could be seen as bringing difficulties, you are correct in your premise that it would be raised as part of the family, though would not grow up in the house or community of either of its parents. If one were to imagine a scale, perhaps as a triangle with political, religious, and corporate power at the 3 points, how would you categorize the power of your family yields? Balanced? Leaning more towards one or the other? And has that position shifted over time? You need to first understand the structure of the family. In the grand scheme of things, the line is not as important as the house. The house is not as important as the family. The family is all. No matter the house or the line, we are one, truly international family. Imagine, if you will, a body. A house would represent a vital organ or a body part within the body itself. Each part has an important role to play in the functioning of the whole, and to each of us, the whole has our undivided loyalty. As I say, many lines, far more than you are aware of, one family. Our realms of influence do not fit as comfortably into these 3 boxes of your triangle as you imagine. There are 6 disciplines of training within the family, and each member of the family is schooled extensively in all of them, from early childhood. We all have an area of speciality, though we have experience in all spheres. The 6 spheres or schools of learning are military, government, spiritual, scholarship, leadership, and sciences. In practice, out there on the stage of public life, we hold key positions in all of these main areas of importance, with the addition of a complicit media machine and ownership of your financial establishments. All bases are covered. I will have to reply to this in parts due to the restriction of characters per post. Which ruling bloodline family? Rockefellers? This may be a bit too direct for our inquisitee. I'd offer the following substitute. How many parallel bloodlines do you estimate are in similar positions to your own? And what extent does your family see them as either competition or collaborators? Yes, as I say, knowing the line is of no practical use to you. It is the belonging to the family that is important. There are 13 base or core original bloodlines, yet there are many other lines that spring from these, as do rivers from the oceans. If you imagine the 13 original lines as primary color that can be mixed to create a vast array of other colors, then you will have some comprehension. Again, no competition, just family. No competition in the sense of house against house, though it's a dog-eat-dog world. So there is interpersonal competition in that sense of the word. Everyone wants to move up. Our whole family society is geared that way, toward upward progression. What does the term generational member mean? Which generation specifically? It means that one is born into the family. The order and its agenda is handed down from generation to generation. Only in extremely rare occasions have outsiders been invested into the family, and then even these were of other esoterically interchangeable lines. Can you cite 2 or more previous instances whereby this directive has been upheld? Once in 1999 to what you would call an alternative media source, once in 2003 on another internet conspiracy-based forum. Though the information relayed was not entirely pure, not from the intention of misleading, but rather imperfect or incomplete knowledge of the messengers. It is not in the mainstream controlled media. It will not be believed by the masses, or if it is not. This is information tailored for those who already know that we are very real, and exerting a strong, if mostly subtle, influence over your lives. If you wish to enslave a man, allow him to believe that he is already free. By what basis is the timing of such revelations established? By the decree of the Supreme World Council according to the will of our Creator. Are we really considered chattel and traded as such by the government? By the governments, generally, yes. People are seen as collateral, pawns that are maneuvered around the chessboard according to the game plan. By the family, contrary to popular beliefs, many of us do not mean you any harm directly. There is just a matter of divine destiny to uphold and unfold, and we must play our parts in the game as given to us by the Creator. In many ways, it is actually in our own interest that you are prepared for the coming harvest, just not maybe prepared in quite the way that you would like. Still, even then, you are choosing the negative polarity with your own free will decisions, and a little help and direction from us. Souls are harvestable in either extreme of the polarities, one could say. If so, how do we become free men? You will never be free for as long as you are incarnating on this planet. The very nature of your being here is indication of that. There is a reason why you are here, and here is very likely not really where you think here is. How do you become free? By working out where you are and coming to an understanding of why you are here. You are fast running out of time to do so before the coming harvest. Those that don't make it will have to repeat the cycle. Is the Messiah alive today? There is no Messiah. Stop looking outside of yourself for salvation. Is there what you might call a Christ consciousness alive? Then, yes, in a manner of speaking, though not in your third density or dimensional awareness. Is it the end times as described in the book of Revelations? Yes, not just described in the book of Revelation, but also in prophecies of virtually every religion, spiritual philosophy, and mystery tradition throughout history. The time is now at hand. To use your own example, however, in your book of Revelation, then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and on that cloud sat one like the Son of Man, having his head a golden crown, and on his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, "Thrust your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." So he who sat on the cloud thrust his sickle into the earth, and the earth was reaped. The earth is indeed ripe for harvest. The question is, who will be ready, and will the harvest be positive or negative? How do you justify that the current British royal family line is the true bloodline, but Ishmael is not the true receiver of Abraham's gift? If you're true bloodline, you'll know what I mean. Who says that it is the true line? There were ruling bloodlines long before your Yahweh and his Christianity arrived on this planet. Yahweh is a creator, not the one infinite creator. There are other and higher gods than him. Ultimately, all are part of the one, and either consciously or unconsciously exercising their free will to create. Begin to study outside of the box for a true understanding of the creation. The British royalty is not the most powerful line. The names that you know do not hold the real ancient power. There are others above these lineages in the hierarchy. You will not know the names of these. What proof do you have that the ruling elite families exist and that you're a member of one? It's something that I think you thought was not falsifiable, which is why you chose that identity for your story or for your weaving. However, I think there may indeed be a way that you can prove it. I have no need to prove anything to you. I am merely doing my duty as directed to me. Believe or do not believe, we are divinely indifferent. I am obliged to complete this task here. The end result is of no consequence to me. I will have discharged my duty in handing down certain information that must be released at this time. There is no stipulation as to where I do so, only that I do so. I chose this website as the general level of intelligence, comprehension, and reasoning is reckoned to be higher than in many such forums. Understand, due to the law of free will, I cannot just give you information, at least not without consequence to my own person, which I would rather avoid. It is an infringement upon your free will, your right not to know. You have to ask me for the information you want. Only then can I provide it. So, whilst there are important things I have to share, if I am not asked the questions, I cannot get that information to you. I am hopeful that synchronicity will bring the most important questions of real depth out from among you. My duty is to offer. Yours is to ask. My duty is fulfilled, whether or not yours is. Surely if ruling elite families exist, and you're a member of one, then you must be controlling global events through world governments. Tell us one major government action from any country that's going to occur in the next 5 days. I am not at liberty to discuss such intimate, immediate detail, and in many cases, I am not far up enough in the hierarchy to know anyway. Typically, I would receive a call a day before the enactment of a major event just to say something along the lines of, "This part of such and such a plan will take place tomorrow in such and such a way. Do not be alarmed." Also, one has to take into account the specific areas of speciality I mentioned previously. My area is in spirituality, so my focus is not so much in geopolitical events. I am aware of the overall design, though the finer points are not often my area of expertise. Let's see if we can increase the depth of inquiry and question matter in the next session. Seek beyond the superficial. Get to the core of the matter. How do you know that your bloodline deserves to lead and the rest deserve to follow? Wealth and power is self-propagating, therefore I say to you that your bloodline only comprises the extreme elite of the world because your ancestors came to power by chance in the beginning, not because your kind are special. In fact, there's nothing special, clever, or honorable in enslaving others. It is not about deserving or not. Does one deserve to be born English, or American, or Italian, or French, or German, and so on? We came not to power by chance, but rather, which I know may be hard to swallow, by intelligent design. This path of ours was not chosen by us, but rather it was appointed and accepted. Who is your creator, and is your creator the same as our creator? This is an excellent question, which I can use to draw our communication closer to the core. Yes and no. You would first need to understand the creation. In the beginning, there is the infinite one. This is the source of all. Intelligent infinity. It is the undifferentiated absolute. Within it is unlimited potential waiting to become. Think of it as the uncarved block in your Taoist traditions. Infinite intelligence, becoming aware of itself, seeks to experience itself, and the infinite one creator is born or manifest. This appears to your third density comprehension as space. In effect, the creator is a point of focused infinite consciousness or awareness into infinite intelligent energy. The one infinite creator, also becoming self-aware, seeks to experience itself as creator, and in so doing, begins the next step down in the creational spiral. The one infinite creator, in focusing its infinite intelligence, becomes intelligent energy, which you could call the great central sun, and divides itself into smaller portions of itself that can then in turn experience themselves as creators or central suns. In other words, each central sun or creator is a step down in consciousness awareness or distortion from the original thought of creation. So, in the beginning was not the Word, but thought. The Word is thought expressed and made manifest as creator. There is unity. Unity is all there is, infinite intelligence and infinite energy. The two are one, and within them is the potential for all creation. This state of consciousness could be termed as being. Infinite intelligence does not recognize its potential. It is the undifferentiated absolute. But infinite energy recognizes the potential of becoming all things in order to bring any desired experience into being. Intelligent infinity can be likened to the central heartbeat of life, and infinite energy is the spiritual lifeblood, or potential, which pumps out for the Creator to form the creation. Creation is based upon the three primary distortions of the Infinite One. The first is free will. In the first law, or distortion of creation, the Creator receives the free will to know and experience itself as an individuated, though paradoxically unified aspect of the One. Number 2, love. In the second law of creation, the initial distortion of free will becomes a focus point of awareness known as logos, or love, or the word in biblical terms. Love, or logos, using its infinite intelligent energy, then takes on the role of co-creating a vast array of physical illusions, or thought forms, or densities, which some call dimensions, in which, according to its intelligent design, will best offer the range of potential experiences in which it can know itself. In effect, the one infinite creator, in dividing itself into logos, could be termed in your third density understanding as a universal creator. In other words, logos creates on a universal level of being. Logos creates physical universe in which it and the Creator may experience themselves. The third is light. To manifest this infinite spiritual or life force energy into a physical thought form of densities, logos creates the third distortion of light. From the three original primary distortions of the One into making the creation arise a myriad of hierarchies and other sub-distortions containing their own specific paradoxes. The goal of the game is to enter into these further divisions of creation and then seek to harmonize the polarities in order to once again know oneself as the creator of them. The nature of all such physically manifest energy is light. Wherever thus exists any form of physical matter, there is light, or divine intelligent energy at its core or center. Something which is infinite cannot be other than, or many. An infinite creator knows only unity. Thus, drawing upon its infinite intelligence, the infinite creator designed a blueprint based on the finite principles of free will of awareness and sub-level creations, which in turn could become aware of themselves and seek to experience themselves as creators. And so the Russian doll-style experiment was stepped down and down and down. Levels of creation within levels of creation. The one infinite creator, or great central sun, steps down its infinite energy to become logos. Logos, in turn, designs vast universes of space, as yet unmaterialized, stepping down and splitting itself again into logoi, which is just plural of logos. In other words, into an array of central suns, which will each become a logos, or co-creator of its own universe, which each unique individualized portion of the one infinite creator containing within it, as its very essence, intelligent infinity. Using the law of free will, each universal logos, or central sun, designs and creates its own version or perspective of physical reality in which to experience itself as creator. Stepping down again, it focuses its intelligent energy and creates the unmanifest form of galaxies within itself, and splits itself into yet further co-creator portions, sub-logos or suns, which in turn will then design and manifest their own ideas of physical reality in the form of points of consciousness awareness that we call suns, stars, and planets. A planetary entity, or soul, begins the first density of experience into which another individualized portion of the one can incarnate. Just as with all logos and sublogos of creation, each soul is yet another smaller, unique portion of the infinite one. At first, the intelligent energy of the planet is in a state that you could call chaos, meaning that its energy is undefined. Then the process begins again. The planetary energy begins to become aware of itself. The first density of awareness is consciousness. And the planetary logos, or sub-logos in effect, begins to create other downward steps within itself, and the internal makeup of the planet begins to form as the raw elements of air and fire combine to work on the waters and the earth, thus arising conscious awareness of their being, and the process of evolution begins, forming the second density. Second density beings begin to become aware of themselves as being separate, and thus begin to evolve toward the third density of self-conscious awareness, the lowest density into which a human soul can incarnate. Humans, in turn, or the souls incarnated within them, seek to return to the light and love from which they came, and they begin the journey of progression from third density up to the eighth density, and to return to the infinite oneness. Explanation of the densities beyond normal human consciousness is another question, though. So, if you wish to know more about them, someone will need to ask an intelligent question which I can respond to so as not to impinge upon your free will not to know. As I said, yes and no. Ultimately, every living thing, and all things are living, is created by the one infinite creator's initial universal creation. So, yes, taken from that perspective, the one infinite creator focuses its infinite intelligence onto an awareness point of infinite energy and brings the whole of creation into being, though we are not directly created by the one infinite creator, but rather by our own logos, sublogos, and sub-sublogos, and so on. So, from that perspective, whilst we are all essentially made up of the same stuff of creation, initiated by the one infinite creator, our actual personal creators are different portions or sublogos of the one. In other words, yes, our creator, while originating from the same source, is not the same entity as your creator. Which brings me on to a question from another poster. I will continue with your other questions afterwards, but this enables me to indirectly answer the first aspect of your question without having to ask you to rephrase it due to having to carefully dance around the free will issue. You say that you come from 13 original bloodlines, yet the DNA mapping project clearly proved that all humanity descends from only 3. Does this mean that you are not human? An excellent question, thank you. Yes, that is correct, in a manner of speaking. If you were to meet me walking down the street, I would appear just as human as you do. We've been incarnating here with you for generations, yet our bloodlines do not originate from this plane. Your answer to the 6 disciplines of learning are quite similar to a book about Atlantis that was supposed to have been channeled. Was this also a time for your bloodlines to post answers? Yes, that is correct, again, in a manner of speaking. Other, shall we say, off-world entities also visited the planet at that time and passed down their own understanding of creation as well as their technology from what would best be described as being a future aspect of yourselves. It was humanity's errors in handling this information that ultimately led to the destruction of Atlantis. Having now answered a question, or whether or not our lineage is of human origin, I can return to tie in that answer with an explanation as to who is our Creator. I'm dancing close to the line in answering this, but the record needs to be set straight, and I should just about to be able to get away with it without incurring my own upline's displeasure. Let's get to the crux of the matter. Your Creator, the one you have called Yahweh, is not God inasmuch as your Bible refers to him as being the one true God. He is a creator, or sub-logos, rather than the one infinite creator. He's not even a galactic level logos, but rather is the planetary logos for this planet. Our Creator is the one you refer to as Lucifer, the light bearer, and bright and morning star. Our Creator is not the devil, as he has been spuriously portrayed in your Bible. Lucifer is what you would call a group soul, or a social memory complex, which has evolved to the level of the 6th density, which in effect means that he, or more accurately we, has evolved to a level sufficient that we have attained a status equal or arguably greater than that of Yahweh. We have evolved higher than him. In appearance, were you to gaze upon Lucifer's fullest expression of our being, the appearance would be that of a sun or a bright star. Or when stepping down into a 3rd density vibration, we would appear as what you may term an angel or light being. Allow me to elucidate. When an entity, or a group soul complex, evolves to the level of the 6th density, it is by comparison to the amount of time it takes to get that far a mere hop, skip, and a jump from 8th density ultimate reunion with the one infinite creator, and then from there back to dissolution into the source of all intelligent infinity. We, our bloodline families, as a group soul or social memory complex termed Lucifer, we're on the verge of 7th density ascension. Though at this level, before harvest comes, we have the choice to progress higher or to return to help others of lower densities with their own evolution by passing down our knowledge and wisdom, or light, to those that call upon us for assistance with their own free will. Now, at this time, having made our decision to stay and help our galactic brothers and sisters in the One, we were assigned a challenging task by the Council of Elders who act as the guardians of the galaxy from their 8th density headquarters on the planet Saturn. Yahweh, due to the fact that he had not, as was his right as a planetary logos, handed down his own free will to know thyself to those incarnating upon his planet, was having very little evolutionary progress therein. So we, Lucifer, we were sent to help. Once the order was given from the Council of Elders, we fell or descended back to a place where we could, with hard work and focus, once again materialize a 3rd density manifestation of ourself. Yahweh had agreed to our coming, In fact, it was he who initially asked the council for a catalyst of change to enter into his creation and share the knowledge and wisdom we had attained through our ascensions. In the absence of free will upon the planet, there can be no polarity, and therefore nothing to choose between. Just as is portrayed in the book of Genesis, the planet was very Edenic, like Eden in nature. Sure, it was a lovely paradise, yet the beings incarnating there had no agitator toward evolving beyond the third density, and therefore little hope of ever making it the journey home to the One. Yahweh has been happy to keep his own little pet Eden project in effect, but with little chance of the souls here making it home, it had become in effect an albeit very beautiful prison. Yahweh was, in modern parlance, running a benign dictatorship. Without polarity, derived from free will, there is only the unity of love and light, and no choice to experience other than that. So, we were to be the catalyst for change, in order to provide that choice, thus bringing polarity. Yahweh agreed that we would introduce the concept of free will to Earth's inhabitants by offering them an initial choice as to whether they wanted it or not. Hence, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or more accurately, the knowledge of polarity, of positive or negative. Yahweh takes his inhabitants to a new garden and tells them that you can do anything you like except this one thing, thus creating the desire to do the one thing that they are told they cannot. Hence, a choice. We provide the catalyst by telling them the benefits of attaining knowledge. They eat from the tree, and the rest is history. Yahweh thought that his children would still choose to obey him, and when he discovered that they did not, he became angry. As he himself describes in his scriptures, he is a jealous God, and he did not like that his children had chose to disobey him and follow our advice. We're already committed to being here for a predefined set of cycles to help provide the catalyst for the human evolution, namely by offering you the negative option, or that which you choose to call evil. Now that free will had been granted, Yahweh could not retract it, and we have to stay here as contracted to continue to provide the planet with the polarity choice. Since then, Yahweh has confined us, as a group soul, here within the Earth's astral planes, which is very constricting and uncomfortable for a being of our wisdom and experience. The Council of Elders gave us the choice to be released, against Yahweh's will, but at the cancellation of our contract to serve the planet Earth, or to remain and fulfill our assignment and endure Yahweh's self-proclaimed wrath. We stayed, but as a karmic result of our group soul's confinement by Yahweh, our own individuated souls were given to the mandate by the council to rule over Yahweh's people during our physical incarnations here on your planet. Let's be clear about one thing, though. All of this physical life incarnation is very intricate and skillfully designed as a game, whereby the one infinite creator plays the game of forgetting who it is so that it can learn to remember, and in doing so experience and know itself as a creator, all the way down to us tiny individuated sparks of the all that is. Offstage, or between lives, we call zero-point time or antimatter universe. As incarnated human beings, we, all of us, you as souls, and us are great friends, brothers and sisters in the One. Now, between lives, we all have a great laugh about the parts we have performed in the play, to look forward to and have great fun preparing the next chapters to act out. I hope that during the above answer I have adequately covered your question on what is our interpretation of good versus evil? If not, please say, and I will go into more detail. Can you elaborate on the coming harvest, and what exactly do you mean by harvest? I can. I will combine my answer to you with my reply to the following question. When you speak of the harvest, it has echoes of chaos Gnosticism in the sense that we are divine souls trapped in the physical world, continuously reincarnated into flesh until the time that we reach such a level of spiritual gnosis that we are able to avoid being reincarnated in our next cycle. Is this the foundation of your belief? Another excellent and very insightful question, thank you. The higher the quality of the question, the more depth I can give to your answer. It all has to do with the laws of confusion and free will. Yes, the noonday winter solstice sun of December 21st, 2012, is the time when the Lord of the harvest shall return. You might know him as Nibiru. Read up on the Mayan prophecies and calendar events for more detail upon how the actual galactic and universal cycles work. The travelers who gave them this information were the same ones who visited the civilization of Atlantis. The Mayans used that information by creating with the positive vibration of the polarity. The Atlanteans opted for the negative. Yes, to answer your question, there is much truth in some of the ancient Gnostic texts, though there are also distortions. The information is not pure, it came through many filters. You are indeed what you call divine souls. You are sparks or seeds of the one infinite creator. You are life itself, or light. Remembering and learning who you really are. We came here to help you do this. And yes, currently you are trapped, or more accurately, quarantined within the matter of this planet that you call Earth. You can thank your creator Yahweh for that. You are the offspring or individuations of his group soul or social memory complex. Macrocosmically speaking, you are Yahweh. The karmic effect of his imprisoning us in his astral planes also has an impact upon you. I cannot be more specific on this without impinging upon the law of confusion. You must work it out for yourselves. As for the question of can I elaborate on the coming harvest? Yes, and I shall do so now. Your planet abides by the laws of the creation of your galactic logos. The galaxy runs on cycles of time known as the precession of the equinoxes, and as I said, seek the Mayan calendar for a deeper insight as to how the galaxy runs. It is highly accurate. But for the purpose of this discourse, I will give a brief overview. The Maya use an astrological cycle called the precession of the equinoxes. This is a 26,000-year cycle in which the Earth transits through each of the 12 signs of the zodiac for about 2,152 years each. Each of these astrological ages represents 1 month of the grand cosmic year. This Mayan cycle also corresponds to a 26,000-year relationship of the Sun, or solar logos, orbiting Alcyone, the central star of our Seven Sisters Pleiades constellation. The end of this cycle heralds literally a new world age and a new creation, a new heaven and a new earth, and it is the time of the great harvest. Smaller cycles yield a harvest, and then life continues on the planet as normal. Great cycles yield a great harvest, and the end of current life on the third density. See it as a kind of cosmic jet wash and deep clean, while the planet takes a rest and regenerates herself. When this life cycle ends, all things shall pass away, and all things shall be made new. Collectively, humanity right now is growing and developing into beings you have long been encoded to be. Yet, as with any labor, it is not the mother or the baby who is in charge. It is the primal process of birth itself, unfolding its own destiny. So, December 21st, 2012 AD is not the day where all of a sudden the lights go out and everything will suddenly change. Rather, we are now in the process of this transition from one world age to the next. The changes are underway and will continue steadily accelerating as we head towards the culminating date. Every day from that point is reckoned by the number of days passed since the event of this cosmic beginning point. Within the 5,125-year cycle lies 13 smaller cycles known as the 13 Baktun count, or the long count. Each Baktun cycle lasts for 394 years, or 144,000 days. Each Baktun has its own historical age within the Great Creation Cycle, with a specific destiny for the evolution of those who incarnated within each Baktun. Planet Earth and her inhabitants are currently traveling through the 13th Baktun cycle, the final period of approximately the years 1618 to 2012 AD. This cycle is known both as the triumph of materialism and the transformation of matter. On the 13th Baktun, December solstice sun will be found in the band of the Milky Way directly in the position of the dark rift in the galaxy, forming an alignment between the galactic plane and the solstice meridian. We are about to enter into a literal alignment of the cosmic, galactic, solar, and lunar planes. This is an event that has slowly converged over a period of thousands of years and is caused by the precession of the equinoxes, kind of like a turning of the universal gears. It brings about the great harvest and the return of the Lord of the harvest. And the planet will complete its ascension to the fourth density, the vibrational density of love. During this ascension, there will be a three-way split for those souls inhabiting Earth. Those of the predominantly negative polarity will accompany us as we graduate through the negative, or service to self, harvest. We, Lucifer, will create a new fourth density Earth based on the negative self-service polarity. We must work off our own part of the negative karmic effect incurred from the negativity created on this planet. Once we have done so, we will be released to once again assume our place as sixth density guardians and teachers of wisdom throughout the galaxy. Those of the predominantly positive polarity, love and light, will ascend to a beautiful new fourth density Earth, where you will begin to work upon your learning and demonstrating of love and compassion. It will be a very beautiful and golden age. The fourth density begins to open you up to your true powers as a unique, individualized aspect of the one infinite Creator. You will perform works and wonders of the like of the one you call Jesus, promised that you would do, and even greater things than these. It will be a very magical time for you. For the majority of the humans on the earth who could be considered, shall we say, lukewarm, they will experience a period of what will feel ecstatic, 0-point time, where you will feel totally at one with the Creator, giving you an encouraging reminder and glimpse of who you really are before the veil of forgetfulness once again descends upon you, and you will be transported to another third density planet, a kind of Earth replica, to continue working upon yourselves and learning that life here is all about making choices. You will remain quarantined, incarnating in third density matter until the time of the next harvest, in which time you will need to have proved yourselves that you have learned how to be more positive beings, focused more upon being of service to others rather than seeking only to serve yourself. When you can do this, and the next harvest comes, you will have earned the right to join us and enjoy your inheritance as a member of the galactic community, and you will sit with us as brothers and sisters of the One around the table of our galactic governing body, the Confederation of Planets. A lot of what you write seems reminiscent of the raw material, especially the concept of harvest, STS and STO choices, and intelligent infinity. Have you read that? It is indeed extremely similar. We both originate from the source of the infinite creator, and we both remember where we came from. I would expect our messages to contain the same core truths. The messages of the sixth density soul group, called Ra, is the most accurate information in your mainstream circulation at this point in time. It is approximately 85 to 90% accurate from what I've seen. The material was brought to my attention when it first came out, something like 25 years ago or so, if my memory serves. I read a lot of it, but not all. I do not have very much free time for that kind of thing, with my many duties, though others of the family gave it a close scrutiny to judge its accuracy and were pleased with the end product. Ra, in fact, is the group I earlier termed off-world entities which visited the Mayan and Atlantean civilizations. We were acquainted and friends. Both our group souls are very similar at a level of development and evolution. We're both sixth density, nearly seventh. But like us, Ra also chose the path of service to our fellow galactic brothers and sisters, you and others, instead of further progression home. We would recommend the material for any who truly seek understanding, though as I said, it is not 100% accurate, so take what resonates. What function, if any, do alien abductions have? Why are abductees chosen? Well, that depends upon who's doing the abducting. Most of what you hear termed as abductions are conducted by your own governments, especially the ones where the so-called Greys are involved. Other than that, sometimes the Confederation will meet with certain incarnates here who have a part to play in awakening others to the coming harvest. These will always be positive experiences, and those who have them will feel uplifted and inspired by their contact. Then there is the Orion Empire group. Their purposes in visiting you are more along the negative lines. They mainly target the ones that you have called light workers. They try to put them off of their assignments and try to spread fear. They will not actually harm you physically. Mainly their modus operandi is to restrict you and deflect you from your path. They often engage in psychic attacks that the light worker is unaware of, but it does often drain away much of their energy and make them lack motivation. Why do you want a negative harvest? It is complicated to put into words, and I also must be careful with what I say on this. I've already had a slap on the wrist, you could say. So, if we do not have a negative harvest, we are bound with you for another cycle. Once this great harvest is completed, our contract with the Council and our Creator is also completed. In other words, we've done our duty, and we'd be free to return to our fullest expression, that of sixth density, nearly seventh, galactic guardians, and ones who joyfully offer ourselves in service to the one infinite Creator, and to our brothers and sisters across the galaxy. However, there is a problem. Well, you would call it a problem. We call it a challenge. I will address this later in more detail in response to another question, but in short, we need a very high percentage of negative polarity if we are to achieve a negative harvest. In other words, we have to be self-service centered to an extreme degree in order to become negatively harvested. This is why we work so hard to be as negatively polarized as we possibly can be. If we do not make a high enough percentage, we will miss out, and we'll end up with the majority lukewarm percentage that have to go through another cycle in the third density. By attaining a negative harvest, we can still graduate to fourth density, only it'll be a negative polarity planet. Not a great place to be. But, as I've stated previously, We, as a group soul, have incurred the natural karmic restitution process that we must work off for all of the negativity that we've caused upon this planet. We will do this for a cycle in our new fourth density world, and then we'll be freed to once again be the glorious being of light that we truly are. We need a negative harvest, so that we can create our fourth density Earth and clear our karmic record. Understand that we have to be negative. That's what we were sent here to be. It is our contract, and it has always been to help you by providing the catalyst that I spoke of earlier. Being negative is very hard for us, not on a physical level. The characters we play enjoy our roles, as we're programmed that way. But on a spiritual level, it is hard. We surpassed the lowly negative vibrations eons ago. We are light, and we are love. It is a very hard thing for us to do spiritually, to create all of this negativity, but we do it because we love you, and it is for your highest good ultimately. You could say that it is our sacrifice that we've made in order to be of service to the one infinite creator, and to you, our brothers and sisters in the one. Remember, we are all just acting out a grand old game here, where we agree to forget who we really are, that in the remembering that we may find each other again and know that we are one, that all life is one. Regarding our enslavement, you seem to be saying essentially that as fractions of our Logos Yahweh, we are equally responsible for his decision to keep us trapped here on our third density planet Earth. That's an interesting thought, in the sense that our total freedom must arrive through a collaborative spiritual effort. From a certain perspective, what you say is correct. From a third density view, you see yourselves as being separate from everything. From a higher perspective, you see that that is not the case at all. You and your Creator are one. As to your statement on your total freedom, you are not responsible for those around you. You and they are all one too, when seen from a higher density, but in this density, you are here to work upon yourself. You are here to remember who you are and why you are here. You are here to remember the infinite Creator, to know your Creator within you, and to offer your service to Him and to others, of your own free will, choice to serve. The one comes before the other. When you remember who you are and you know it, deep within the core of your being, you will know and recognize your invisible connection to all that is, and in so doing, joy and thanksgiving and service will be the natural outpouring result from your grateful heart. When you work upon yourself and learn to know the Creator within you, being of service to others will be natural for you, and your glorious harvest shall await. One thing I don't get, and perhaps you can explain this to me, Hidden Hand, is why those who belong to Lucifer, and Lucifer himself, do not fight for the freedom of all souls. If Lucifer represents liberty, freedom of will and knowledge, then why do those who serve him do as the biblical Lucifer did and rebel against the tyranny of the elders? That is a very good question. Thank you. I will split it into two parts, answering the second part after this. Firstly, the Council of Elders are the absolute opposite of tyrannical. They are the wise and loving guardians of our galaxy. There is so much that one cannot understand only from a third density perspective. When you reach higher densities, you see that ultimately everything balances and there is only unity. All else than unity is illusion or thought form. The Council of Elders gave us a set of choices. We chose to stay here to help you despite the cost to ourselves. That is the nature of loving service to others. The ultimate paradox in all of this is that in the storyline, we are all co-creating together in order for us to be of the most service to you We must be utterly self-serving. I do so love our Creator's sense of irony. As to the first part of your question, the biblical depiction of the war in heaven is not entirely accurate. I shall explain. Our initial contract was to introduce the catalyst for free will on this planet. When Yahweh intentionally began discourse with the Council of Elders, he was not initially looking for help with introducing free will, but rather for guidance on how he could best speed up his, and his inhabitants, evolutionary process. As I mentioned, he was running a benign dictatorship. We had at that time just completed an assignment in Tau Ceti, and had reported for our next duties. We, as Group Soul Lucifer, were sent on a fact-finding expedition, as it were, to visit Earth and to meet with Yahweh to evaluate his planetary creation laws and make suggestions on how best he could help his offspring. This is the term I shall use to describe the souls who comprise the group soul, and thusly Yahweh to progress. We explored many options and reported our findings to the Council and to Yahweh. It was our best evaluation that the only real and fast-track way to increase his evolvement meaningfully was the introduction of free will. It was not specifically the implementation of free will that Yahweh wanted help with. It was simply the introduction of a catalyst. He was not at all pleased with our report that he needed to implement free will. He was happy with the little pet paradise, and he didn't want to lose control of it. In the end, the Council persuaded him that it was the best way, and he reluctantly agreed. We returned to Earth and had a cordial meeting with Yahweh, discussing how we would best implement the free will option. Yahweh was adamant that his offspring would choose to be loyal to him anyway, and that they were so content with their way of life that they would always trust him and do as he said was best. That, he said, was his main reason that free will would not work well as the catalyst. That's why he agreed to the experiment of the Tree of Knowledge. He believed it would prove him right. When it did not, he became angry and threw his toys out of the pram and his offspring out of the garden, and laid a big guilt trip on them about how they had broken his trust and disobeyed him. That's not really an honorable way for a Logos to behave, but hey, that's the beauty of free will, I guess. Next problem to occur was that his offspring were so grateful to us for our help that Yahweh became, in his own admission, a jealous God. Then we had the whole "you shall have no other gods before me" thing. We were not pleased with the situation at all, as a Logos should not be behaving like this, which his offspring, they are one after all. When we attempted to leave the planet to return to the Council, Yahweh prevented our departure. We tried to leave again, and we were thrown down into the astral planes and confined therein. The Council ordered us to be released, but said that we would have to cancel our contract to help the souls on Earth to evolve. We didn't want to leave. We found them very likable beings, really positively polarized, and we wanted to stay to help. We just wanted also to be free to come and go as we pleased. The only way we could stay was to stay confined as a group soul, which means cycles of incarnation for us, as individuated souls, which we had not done for a long while. As I've stated before, there is no wrong or right seen from a higher density, but there are still consequences for every action. Such is the law of karmic effect. The contract had already been made between Yahweh, us, and the Council for us to provide the catalyst, so we had a right to be there. The karmic effect of Yahweh imprisoning us on the macrocosmic level was that his individuated souls would be imprisoned on a microcosmic level. The infinite Creator gave Yahweh, and all, the gift of free will to create as we choose. But the karmic effect of his choice was the Council quarantining the planet. A certain evolutionary level is required to be a functioning part of a positive, unified galactic society. Now, as for the fighting for the freedom of all souls, remember that ultimately this is a game, and that we are all playing here. We are actors, playing on the stage of life. This world is an illusion or thought form. No one really dies, and no one is really hurt. In between incarnations, you know this very well. But the rules of the game ensure that you must forget who you really are, so that you believe it is all real whilst you are playing the game of life. That is an essential prerequisite when you are making choices. Otherwise, the game would be too easy. This world is not reality, though we can express reality in it if we so choose. Okay, so your family and fellow elites might have us entrapped in the earthly realm as we are, but why actively propagate and aid the forces of enslavement? Because that is the part that we have been contracted to play in this game. In order to win, or more accurately, to be successful in the game, we must be as negatively polarized as possible. Service to self in the extreme. Violence, war, hatred, greed, control, enslavement, genocide, torture, moral degradation, prostitution, drugs, all of these things and more, they serve our purpose in the game. The difference between us and you in the game is that we know that we are playing. The less you know about the game and the less you remember that you're a player, the more senseless living becomes. In all these negative things, we are providing you with tools, but you do not see it. It is not what we do, but how you react to it that is important. We give you the tools. You have the free will choice how you will use them. You have to take responsibility. There is only one of us here. Understand that, and you will understand the game. Something I found extremely interesting is the concept of the grand age of precession being split into 5,125 year cycles. 3,113 BC, the beginning of the current sub-age, was a time of great activity. Is the construction of stone monuments in Western Europe, the Middle East, and Egypt at this time related to the recognition of this cycle? What was the purpose of Britain's stone circles and Egypt's pyramids? Are they more than mere markers of an eon change? They must have had some enormous significance. Actually, something I'd most like to know is, were the builders of these monuments members of the enslaved masses who were trying to understand the nature of existence, or were the builders members of your elite bloodline? Yes, there is significance in these occurrences according to the space-time of their happenings. The group soul complex Ra was the architect of these structures. They were created from thought. When one understands and sees that all is illusion or thought, one can use the force to manipulate the illusions. All things, seen and unseen, are interconnected life force energy. Once you know what the magician knows, it's not magic, it's a tool of creation. Thank you for your questions. They were very insightful. It is your kind that has ruined the world, thinking of yourselves as higher than anyone. If I saw you in real life, it wouldn't be pretty. You lack understanding, not to mention eloquence. To understand higher, try thinking outside of the box for a moment. If I'm walking around on the ground and you are flying above me in an airplane, does that make you better than me? No, it just makes you higher. I will see you in hell. Well, be careful what you wish for. All thoughts and words are creative. Thank you for your questions. I believe I have already dealt with many of them in my previous answers this session. Though if you feel I've missed anything, please say. If Yahweh is positive polarity entity, then how is he wrathful and jealous? Does Yahweh have free will? Would you like to think of yourself as reasonably positive? Can you still be wrathful and jealous at times? Is Yahweh a macrocosm of you? Have there been over time other entities pretending to be Yahweh? On occasion, yes. I would like to know, how do we choose a service to others, or positive path, over a service to self, the negative? Is this statement correct? In order to choose the positive path, at least 51% of our thoughts and actions must be dedicated to the service of others. For the negative path, it must be at least 95%, must be self-serving. Between the two lies the sinkhole of indifference. Your statement is correct. Yes. So you see how hard we must strive for negativity? It takes a lot of effort to reach 95% negativity. Also, you may be surprised how many people on the planet are nowhere near reaching 51% positive. How do you choose a service to others path? Be good to yourself. Cultivate a genuine love for life and for being. Be genuinely thankful to the infinite Creator every day for bringing you into being and for His bountiful provision. You have survived this far, have you not? You may not have everything you want, but you have everything you need in order to complete that which you were incarnated here to do. Give thanks for that. Show acknowledgement and gratitude to the infinite Creator for all that it has done and for showing you. It has given you the gift of life experience and offered you the free will to decide what you will create with it. Guard your thoughts carefully, as they are more powerful than you may imagine. When you are coming from a place of love for and service to your Creator, a life of service to others will become a natural outflowing from that. Always look for ways that you can be of assistance to your fellow beings. Being of encouragement to others. Build people up and do not put people down. Be a beacon of light in a dark world. Does that old lady need a hand with her shopping bags? How do you treat the homeless man who asks you for some spare change for the shelter? Ever hear about angels in disguise? Look and see the divine spark in the heart of all beings. Treat them as you would like to be treated yourself, and as you would your Creator if He was speaking directly with you. For even as you are doing it to the least of these, you are doing it unto me. The law of radiation and attraction. Your thoughts, words, and actions return to you. Ultimately, cultivate a spirit of humble gratitude. You won't go wrong. You won't go far wrong with that. Desire to serve flows naturally from a grateful heart. If we live a service to others philosophy in order to achieve oneness with the infinite source, isn't that really service to self? How is the distinction of negative and positive polarity made? You do not serve others to achieve oneness with the infinite source. You serve others because you love them as yourself. Others are an extension of yourself. That's why the law of attraction works the way it does. Truly, whatever you are doing to me, you are doing to yourself. We are all one in the infinite creation. Separation is an illusion because you only see what is in the third density. You do not see the whole picture. We achieve oneness with the infinite source of all as a result of our upward spiral of progression. We are all on the path back to where we came from. We are all on our way back home. It is my understanding that all souls must eventually choose the positive path to unite with the infinite creator. If this is true, what's the justification of choosing the negative path now for your people and us? An astute question. Yes, all souls eventually learn that positive is the pathway which leads home. But whilst incarnating in the third density, negativity is still an important tool in your learning process. It teaches you other than. As I said earlier, it is up to you how you use the tools that we have given to you. Do you respond to negativity with more negativity? Has fighting fire with fire ever worked for you? Or do you choose to see the negativity as the tool that it is, and recognize that it is offering you an opportunity? I will honor your free will to think and discover for yourself what that opportunity is. Or if the one infinite creator is love, does that mean it doesn't matter if we choose love of others or love of ourselves? Will either path lead us to the source? In a sense, you are correct to a certain point, but there is a big difference between loving yourself and being selfish. A big difference. When you truly understand what it is to know and love yourself, you cannot help but to love and serve others. There are no others. When you understand this at the core level of your being, you will be on the path home to the infinite creator and ultimately submergence back into the infinite oneness. I agree with many of your answers, which are very much in line with several sources that I've read in the past, including the channelings of Ra, the Cassiopeians, and several others. Can you explain your interpretation of such channelings if they are another source of disclosure from your people? I have spoken on Ra in my previous answers today. I have not heard of the Cassiopeians. There are no other communications from my family at this time than this one, though there is a possibility of another soon, depending upon certain events. My general view of channelings is that the majority of them are very poor quality. That is not necessarily a slight against those bringing them through, but more a matter of their lack of receptivity and subsequent distortions. It is very rare to find a good, stable, clear, and impartial channel. The key element in channeling is the ability to temporarily withdraw the filters on your own personal beliefs and to be a clear channel. To bring through what is actually given and not your slant on what you think it might mean. When I am saying you, I mean this in general term. Of course, not you personally. Always remember that it's meant to be about the message, not the messenger. The Ra channelings are very accurate indeed. They are the only ones that I know of that I would happily classify as a clear message. Though, as I say, even then it's not 100%, more like 85 to 90%. Another difficult issue with channeling is that you can start off receiving a positive entity, and if you are not very perceptive in your discernment and careful in your protection when identifying an incoming channel, you can get a negative one that pretends to be positive, but gradually slips in more and more misinformation having gained your trust. The ones that give you precise dates and times are nearly always ones to avoid. Positive entities will not give a date and a time. Negative ones will do, so they can set you up for a fall. Once you're tricked into predicting dates and times, and they don't happen, they've succeeded in putting out the light of your message, as no one will see any credibility in you. Well, now we know the point of this thread. Someone just discovered New Age theology, wanted to take time to type out his discovery. OP, still waiting for you to provide a prediction with the timeline. So far, all you've offered is general doom, which is what everyone in this site predicts every year. We need something specific, like next week. Of course, I know you won't provide anything. This is just a hoax. This will be the only time that I reply to you. At the outset of our discourse here, I made it expressly clear the way I am choosing to operate. If you do not like my choices, you have the free will to not read or listen to this disclosure. I would kindly suggest that you use it as your energy is feeling very frustrated and angry. That's not really an advisable direction that you want to be heading under the circumstances. As I took the time to explain to you before, I have nothing to prove to you. That is not why I came. Believe or do not believe. I am divinely indifferent. If my presence here ends up benefiting just one soul during the process, it will have been worth the effort. I have not asked you to believe. The only thing I have respectfully asked is that you suspend judgment or hold a provisional faith until the discourse is complete, so that the flow of questions and information remains uninterrupted. You have shown me nothing but discourtesy and bad manners from the outset, and then wonder why I do not respond. If you do not like the topic, simply choose not to read or reply, and let those that do wish to participate with insightful questions do so uninterrupted. Your points. Number 1, New Age theology? That's amusing. You clearly have not the faintest comprehension of just how ancient and timeless these mysteries are. I find it ironic that your name has that you're a Mason. Well, if you ever make it to the 32nd degree, you're going to find yourself hearing these truths all over again. I hope that you will find it easier to integrate these truths then, and I ask our infinite Creator to guide your path. Number 2, you will not be receiving any times or dates from me. I am not here to prove anything. I have no need to do so. Your disbelief is of no consequence to me, only to you. I am here to diligently discharge the duty given to me of delivering a message, and I will complete that duty regardless of your feelings about it. Number 3. As your point 2 regarding doom and gloom, that just serves to reveal your mindset. Where you see doom and gloom, I see opportunity. Life conforms to your ideas, the way it is for you. If you see doom and gloom, then that's what you're projecting. The world is your mirror. It reflects back to you what you are putting out. If you do not like the reflection life is showing you, then change what's causing it. You see, if this really existed, there would be countless thousands of people involved, and any one person could leak. Thousands? Try millions. And you have no possible comprehension of the rigorous training and the harshness of the conditioning that we undergo from an early age. No one dares to go against the family. We know what would happen if we did. But that's not the prime motivator. The motivator is unbridled loyalty to the family and our Creator. We understand the importance of what we're doing here, even though most of humanity does not. Oopsie, you just shot yourself in the foot. For someone who only deals with manipulating the spiritual side of life, you sure do know a lot of things that have nothing to do with it. You just exposed yourself. Do you not sit down with your family and keep one another abreast of your plans? As to your remarks about my spiritual role, the ignorance you demonstrated is most humorous to us. If you think I only deal in spiritual, you have either not read or misread my posts. You also make the assumption that my role is manipulating the spiritual side of life. Again, you lack the understanding and then make false judgments about that which you have no comprehension of. You would do well to stop trying to be clever and instead channel all of this misplaced aggressive energy of yours into something more productive or nourishing for your soul. But don't let me stop you. You're contributing nicely to the overall negative polarity to the coming harvest. we are grateful to you. I will be spending the last few days of my time here, our discourse ends soon, focusing on responding to insightful questions with depth, which make the most of this opportunity for sharing information and making connections on a soul level of being. So, please, do not expect any further responses to your verbal jousting. I neither have sufficient time or inclination for engaging in insignificant banter. To those whose questions I have not yet had time to reply to, I will do so tomorrow. In the meantime, while I catch up, I respectfully ask if you will please hold off on further questions until I am up to date with the current ones. Thank you to those who have contributed to this discourse so far with meaningful questions. For those with an open mind, it is my hope that you will get something out of this information. I'm wondering if you can help me. My name is Shelby, and I'm here for the coming trials and tribulations. I'm a part of Quetzalcoatl, or the rebirth of it, as far as I know. I know many of your words to be true because I had already rediscovered these truths through finding that which resonated most with me throughout the various belief structures on this planet. Good evening, Shelby. It's good to see you again. It's been a while, old friend. Would it surprise you to know that we were expecting you? Quetzalcoatl is also a sixth density group soul, or social memory complex. Some refer to Quetzalcoatl as an ascended master, although he would be most amused by that title, knowing as he does that mastery is still some way off for him at this point, as well as it is for ourselves. One can be accurately described as having mastered a particular density, although mastery of the entire creational incarnation cycle does not occur until one has again attained submergence back into the infinite one creator. We may choose to do so once attaining the 8th density ascension, or one may choose instead to progress up to the next octave of densities and begin a new cycle of creational incarnation challenges. This is my first time on Earth in a long time, possibly ever. I have known for quite some time and been told by another from one of the bloodlines in your group that I do not truly exist here. You are correct in that you have not been here for a substantial period of Earth time, though not that you have not been here before. The group soul Quetzalcoatl enjoyed many third-density incarnational cycles here back in the classic Aztec period. He struggled at first with perfecting love for others, which held back his progression for some time. However, once he came to the realization of our inherent unity, he was able to see himself in others, and his, or your, progression was rapid from there on in. Your Quetzalcoatl soul group attained positive harvest with a very impressive 76% at the time of the subsequent harvest. Naturally, when a group soul is undergoing an incarnational cycle in third density, its individualized soul portions, i.e. you, are the ones who are doing the actual physical incarnations, with the oversoul, or the higher self, of your individuated souls acting as the energy anchor in which the individual soul sparks are stepped down from. You spent a long while working your way through the 5th density, the density of wisdom, or light. This was due, in the main part, to an overabundance of compassion, which is not a bad thing, as compassion is one of the main things that you work on at 4th density. However, to graduate from 5th density to 6th density, the density of unity, one must learn to balance between compassion and wisdom. The 6th density is hence sometimes known as the density of compassionate wisdom, due to one having learned the balance between the two. This required many incarnational cycles for you, which is why you are correct when you feel that you have not visited 3rd density Earth for a long time. I was not expected to show up. I originally had other previous engagements, but I managed to get here at the last minute. One of the things that I remembered is that I too am under contract. I am a walk-in, if that makes sense to you, so my human family is not like me. I've spent a long time traveling to various densities and helping out the various revolutions there. Your insight serves you well, Shelby. This not only applies to you, but to your entire soul group. Quetzalcoatl, the macrocosm of yourself, has been busy for at least 2 cycles working with a 5th density group on Alpha Centauri, who were experiencing similar problems with an overabundance of compassion at the cost of personal wisdom. You recently completed your assignment there, and were eager not to miss out on the glorious opportunity to be a part of this great harvest. Whilst your group, as I said, did eventually learn to balance love and light to graduate into the 6th density, unity vibration, you still are very much prone to extreme compassion, and rather than take the usual period of time-space, or antimatter universe, where we rest in between incarnations, you were keen to jump aboard the 3rd density space-time whirlwind at this point to be of assistance to your fellow beings here. My problem is that my memory has malfunctioned, and some of the things that I have remembered from my previous existences do not correspond with your words. I have met Lucifer and his generals on more than one occasion. I would appreciate any information that you may know of that would clear up my confusion as to why my thoughts are so jumbled, because I know what my path is clearly and I am awaiting the starting point, but I am not completely clear on what truly is happening here. Thank you for your time. You have indeed met with us, Lucifer, before on many occasions. We have worked together on various councils and confederation assignments. Use the gift of your dreamtime communications, which are important communications from your oversoul, and many other sources whereby information is downloaded. Use this to plug in to your inner databank. Begin recording everything you recall upon awakening, and do not give up on the process, even though it's hard at first. You will begin to recall to slowly make sense of the information which is being downloaded into your subconscious mind. When you become proficient at this, you can use your dream time as a method of inner communication. Ask our infinite creator to remind you of your time in the Zeta Reticuli system. You will remember our last period of service together, I would hope with much fondness. Sadly, my time here is only permitted one more day. Therefore, we will not likely communicate again after this message. So I wish you the very best with your assignment here, my friend, both your individual one and that of your group soul. I ask that our one infinite creator bless and guide your path. We look forward to seeing you on the other side when this grand ride is over. Our love, wisdom, and peace be with you. You mentioned Alcyone. It's very interesting. There's a celestial map of it on the Hoover Dam. There's also a compass framed by signs of the zodiac. Indeed. Just like in Hollywood productions, we hide the truth right out in the wide open. What humanity is offered as science fiction, more often than not, is actually science fact. What do the winged statues commissioned by the U.S. government guarding the entrance at the dam really represent? Is any of this collection of celestial wisdom found there connected to your Luciferian alien equinox transformation agenda? That is actually very simple. You'll note that the feet point directly downward toward the earth, and the hands and wingtips point directly up to the sky. The life force energy flows into the human mind, body, and soul complex from the earth up through the feet. The intelligent energy from the infinite creator flows down from above and in through the crown chakra. The wings represent our, or Lucifer's, inherent divinity. You'll also notice that the figure is seated. The seat of our power connects heaven and earth, and all things must pass through us. Other questions I have, and sorry if you explained this, are these bloodlines the wealthy, as most assume, or seemingly ordinary people, including celebrities, politicians, etc., blending in with society, going relatively unnoticed, yet contributing to your cause in the grander scheme of things? The names that you know have no real power. Sure, they appear to have lots of power in the way that earthbound souls perceive power. Our wealth makes the million and billionaire celebs and corporate bigwigs look like child's pocket money. Our wealth is family wealth, which has passed down through the generations over thousands of years. True wealth, however, is knowing deep in your heart that you and your infinite Creator are one. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, infinite Creator, and all these things shall be added unto you. So part of this question could also be, are all of them aware that they are part of this bloodline? Or are some members oblivious to this connection that they have? Or are they informed of this at a particular age? For example, how and at what age are you told that you belonged? Yes, if you are bloodline, family, you are born into it, and you are raised this way from birth. There is no other way. I want to be clear on this bloodline issue. The ones you know, they are of earthly lineage. Yes, they have their place in the family, but the real power lines do not originate from this plane, this planet. I have probably found this the single most insightful thing so far. It helps me to understand answers to some of the questions I've asked. I'm glad. It is probably the single most important thing that I've shared. Unfortunately, its connotations also alleviate the NWO of most accusations. That depends upon your perspective. Does it alleviate the negativity that we've perpetuated? No. Does it alleviate the pain and suffering that we have caused and are causing upon the planet? No. Does it alleviate that we are closing our endgame scenario and soon to openly come out and offer publicly to save the failing political and financial institutions with our esteemed leadership? No. Does that mean that you should give into and feed the negativity? No. Does it alleviate that we will have to spend a cycle in karmic restitution to balance the lifetime of overt negativity? No. Does it mean that you should use the negativity as the tool that it is to show you that which you are not? Yes. Remember always that this is a beautiful game that we are playing here and co-creating with each other and our infinite Creator, and that off stage, or between lives, we are the very best of friends, and that no one really dies and no one suffers except for in the game. The game is not reality, and reality is reality. And you have the power to express your reality within the game once you have learned how to do so. You are essentially saying that a soul can only choose positivity in a world where negativity also exists if there were no protagonist in this world, that there'd be no opportunity for a human soul to choose good or evil, and thus prove on a spiritual level that they deserve one afterlife fate over another. If we only had positivity to choose from, that we'd learn nothing and our souls would manage to prove nothing. Is this correct? Exactly. That is the reason why we came. It is a great sacrifice to us, hard as it is to comprehend from within the mental confines of the third density life experience. We do it because we love you. An extremely basic concept, but one I've so far managed to overlook. Unfortunately for those of us who love our earthly existence, or rather the potential it has, it's rather difficult to come to terms with the concept whereby suffering and slavery are as natural as love and happiness, and that only after this earthly existence can we ever be free. Yes, I understand. Our job is to provide the catalyst. Yours is to use it. Can you look beyond what your eyes are showing you to find and express love and happiness in a world of fear and distress? If you can, you will be as a beacon of light into the darkness. Will you succumb to the darkness, or will you stand and shine your divine inner light? Only you can make that decision for yourself. If the one infinite creator is infinite and has created everything that is, then does the infinite creator not reside within all things? When you can see the divine spark of the infinite creator, even within those who would mean you harm, the strong grip of illusion will begin to lose its power over you. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, to quote. Thank you, Hidden Hand. Whether you're genuine or not, you've certainly got me thinking and learning. You are very welcome. I am genuine, but would it matter even if I were not? Remember, it is not who the messenger is that is of the greatest import, but however it is the nature of the message itself. I wish you well on your journey home. We will see you on the other side, and we'll all have a good old laugh about the parts we've played in this grand drama. Is there any way to cancel this restriction? Because I could just be very lazy or under this kind of spell, and I want to know which one it is. Does sleep paralysis have anything to do with it? Because I get that from time to time, with or without shadow figures. There is. Research and employ psychic shielding techniques. There is much information on the internet, so I need not spend the little time that we have left going into that. Read many sites and listen to your inner voice. Your soul will guide you if you ask it. It speaks in the language of feelings. When it just feels right, it usually is. And no, sleep paralysis is unrelated. That occurs when your brain awakes from the dream state before your body. While going through REM deep sleep, it is natural for your body to become paralyzed during the REM cycle, so as to prevent possible injury while dreaming. Sometimes when you awake too quickly from a dream, your body just thinks that you're still dreaming, and thus the REM paralysis continues for a while, until eventually you shake yourself awake from it, often due to the difficulty to breathe. And another question, is it possible that our essence can be destroyed in the coming times, or is that just another scare tactic? No, your essence can never be destroyed. You are a unique part of the one infinite creator. You are an eternal soul, currently residing in a physical shell that you could call an earth suit. Your earth suit will perish, but you cannot die. Nothing can destroy the infinite creator, and you and the infinite creator are one. I go to work and I pay my bills. I live a good life with friends, loved ones, people I care about. I am essentially a good person, but I do have the full range of emotions as a real human, i.e. jealousy, hate, etc. I guess I would describe myself as lukewarm, to use your phrase. So how can I, as an individual, take what you say as the truth? No one is asking you to. Never take what another says to you as truth. Your purpose here is to find your own truth. Sometimes others can help you to do so by offering guidance, but for their truth to become your truth, it must pass through the test of your discernment. Sit quietly in meditation and ask the infinite creator to guide your path. Meditate upon that which I've shared and listen to your inner feelings. They are the language of your soul. Use all your negative emotions as they arise, as the tools that they are, and train yourself to notice when negativity arises in you. When you catch yourself projecting a negative thought, remember that all thought is creative, and ask yourself, is that really what you want to create? It takes a while to become proficient, but do not give up. Just keep noticing your negative thought patterns as they arise, and in doing so, simply choose again and select a response that is more positive. It is called working on yourself, and is the main reason you have chosen to be here right now, to work upon yourself. I wish you well in your transformation process. I also read through the above link from one calling themselves the Insider. Although his or her posts were less sophisticated than yours, was he your predecessor? One of your something charged with this disclosure? A good question. I have just read through that material. It was very interesting. No, not a predecessor of mine, and not a disclosure I was previously aware of, which had come from my family, would be highly strange. Though I note that he himself stated that he is from a minority, and certain clues within his writing gives me a very good idea of which one. I would say that his material is around 60% accurate. The feelings I get from reading him are not that he intentionally included inaccurate information, but that he was just not in possession of the bigger picture. Were he to be from the minority group I believe him to be from, that would make perfect sense. So when the harvest comes, my time here is over, and the conscious shell that I live in is no more. What then? What happens to me? What happens to my friends and my loved ones? Are we, and by we I mean are the vast majority of us who possess this planet, this dimension, this density, by and large going to be ignorant of the events you foretell? This is a good question. I like questions that come from the heart. It depends upon the circumstances surrounds your final moments in this particular lifetime. For example, let us say that the physical aspect of you was to do the thing called die. During the coming earth changes, you will immediately return to that wondrous realm in which we reside in between incarnations, that which we call time, space, or antimatter. This is the place that humans refer to as heaven. There you shall meet with all those you love and who have also died during this life experience, and enjoy wonderful and emotional reunion. You will meet up with your soul group and your spiritual teachers. We all store a portion of our soul energy on the other side when we come here. Depending upon the difficulty level of the life experience we've chosen, we take more or less of our energy with us. For an average lifetime, we typically bring between 60 to 80% of our soul energy into incarnation with us. Therefore, even if ones you love who are already back in the world of spirit have incarnated again on another adventure, there will still be a part of their energy there to meet with you and welcome you home. You will then evaluate your life experience with your teachers and learn the lessons of your successes and your mistakes. You will spend time in learning and resting before beginning to plan your next incarnation. For those who do not physically die before the great harvest arrives, there will be a moment of 0 point time where you will enjoy an ecstatic merging with the infinite Creator, giving you a wonderful reminder and reassurance of who and what you really are before the veil of forgetfulness once again descends upon you, and you will be transported to the place that awaits you. Depending upon whether you join us in 4th density negative, which is unlikely, or graduate to the 4th density positive, which is possible, or go to another similar 3rd density planet for the lukewarms, to continue in your learning and however many cycles it takes you to graduate to the 4th density positive. Those in this category will not remember anything at the time of your transition. It will be just like nothing has changed, except you will retain the memory of your 0 point experience to encourage you. You will not remember the recent experiences of the harvest in this life here. It will be just as though you all had some mystical experience, and life will continue as normal for you. I find you difficult to believe, and yet you respond and inform in a very sophisticated manner. It is quite intriguing. That is good. I do not want for you to blindly believe me. Too many on this planet spend their entire lifetime doing and thinking things because others say that they are true. What I want is that my words become a catalyst for you. That is what we came here to do. If my words cause you, even if just for a short time, to stop for a moment and evaluate that which you think you already know about the nature of life, and take for granted as being true, because everyone else believes it, then my time will have been spent well. My desire is that you become an authentic human being, thinking and feeling and deciding for yourself what feels like the truth for you. I wish you well in your endeavors. You can't provide a shred of proof that this isn't a hoax, even though it would be incredibly easy to do so, were you to claim to be who you are. I won't. Or won't, not can't. Big difference. This is not intended to be an object lesson prophecy fulfillment. If you think I thought that I would be blindly believed, or even wanted for that to happen, you are very much mistaken. I would be disappointed if that were to be the case. If you will have learned nothing from my time here, not you personally, I mean you in people as in general. My task here has been my task incarnating here for thousands of years to provide a catalyst, to make you think. Again, not you personally, I just mean in general. If I were to give you the proof that you were looking for, if I were to predict things and tomorrow that they all happen before your very eyes, people would likely take everything that I've said here as quote-unquote gospel. That would be disastrous were that to occur, because you will have learned nothing for yourselves. It's not about me. I'm just a messenger. It's all about you. Again, generally speaking, and what you do in relation to the catalyst. Question what you think you know about reality. Seek the infinite creator within you and ask for its guidance. Or, ask and you will receive, search and you will find, knock and the door will be opened for you. I am a 32nd degree Mason, although if you were really a royal bloodline person, you would know that it means nothing. If you have genuinely attained the level of sublime prince of the royal secret through the Scottish Rite, or that of the Order of the Knights Templar through the York Rite, and have not been taught of the truths of creation, then I would be very interested indeed to know which lodge that you attend, as I would very much like to speak with your current worshipful master. Naturally, I completely understand and respect if you do not wish to make such personal details known publicly, though. Of course, what you said in another post about there only being 3 degrees is true, for those attending the blue or craft lodges, though as you've stated you are 32nd degree, I'm presuming that you are either Scottish Rite or the York's Rite equivalent. I hope to be able to be present personally in the event that you are ever invited to progress beyond the 32nd or 33rd degree. I would like to be the one tasked with introducing you to Lucifer. I expect that you will likely come back and say how there is no further progression beyond the 33rd. Well, if you're lucky, there will be a nice surprise in store for you somewhere down the line. I sincerely hope that you make it that far. That you're repeating debunked conspiracy theory shows you're just here to hoax people. That word, debunked, always brings me a hearty laugh. Some people seem to think that throwing the word debunked around means that it really has been. The vast majority of debunking has more holes in it than the conspiracy theories it's meant to be silencing. Just enough of a shell to help those who really don't want the truth to be true, to carry on believing that it's not, so they can replace their heads back into the sand for a little while longer. Anyways, I must press on with questions from those with open minds. I leave you with my regards. Keep up your good work. Over the course of my life, I've constantly resorted to prayer, some formal and some not, with truly outstanding and nearly instant physical results. I've taken these results to heart as personal evidence that some higher force or forces can respond in a meaningful manner to at least me and perhaps anyone. Still, I don't rule out the possibility of coincidence. From your vantage point, would you please be gracious enough to shed light on this phenomenon? There is no such thing as coincidence. Nothing happens by chance. Life is in a constant process of communication with us, only most people are too busy to notice. Our infinite Creator longs to be close to us. In truth, He is closer to us than most would believe. They just don't notice Him, as they pass by Him on the street every day, when He gives them their change at the shop, when you tuck her into bed and give her a kiss goodnight, when you squash Him as He's running up your bathroom wall towards His web, when there's no one else in the room but you. The main reason people don't have their prayers answered is because they really don't believe that they will. Don't have faith in our infinite Creator. Have trust in Him. The most powerful form of prayer is thanksgiving. Or to quote, "Even before you ask, I have already given it unto you." Thanksgiving is knowing that our infinite Creator has provided for you as He promised and being thankful for that, even before you see the results. The more we trust in our infinite Creator, the more results we get. Life gives us what we expect we'll receive, because all thought is creative. If we get up and expect to have a bad day, more often than not, that's exactly what we'll get. But remember, it works both ways. And this one would be the hoaxer's sock puppet, creating different accounts to give himself the aura of credibility. Oh dear, you really are grasping desperately onto straws. Any administrative person can see with the power can see that I'm using multiple accounts. I'd be more than happy for the administrative person to say that I am, because I'm not. 2 accounts will show for me. Hidden Hand, my first one, I never got confirmation email for, and Hidden Hand, the second one, that I did get the confirmation email for. My infinite Creator gives me the only credibility that I need or want, for that matter. Hidden Hand, I've enjoyed reading your posts, if for nothing than the unusual fact that it isn't bullet-holed with bad writing, grammar, and typos. May I respectfully recommend that you choose another venue next time? I like Project Camelot myself. In any case, I'm still reading with an open mind, but a skeptical mind. Thank you. We are aware of Project Camelot, and they are doing some remarkable work. Though I was not aware that they also have a forum, if that's what you're suggesting. Not really my area usually dealing with the internet. In fact, I rarely have time to even venture onto it. I've quite enjoyed this time of relating to others over cyberspace. Well, if you're game for an assignment, or maybe someone else if you haven't the time, I would be happy for someone to collate this topic, minus the interruptions, so that the message appears as just the actual flow of questions and answers, and then post it there in one piece, if you so desire. As I mentioned before, I chose this site and was reliably informed that it is one of the forums with a higher rate of intelligence and reasoning amongst its members. On the whole, from my experience here, I would tend to agree. Though if you think that it would be of value to Project Camelot, then by all means you are welcome to spread this message. The more people it can reach, the better. I have very few dreams nowadays, but I had one last night and it urged me to pose a question to you. I find it amazing that out of all the topics in the universe this has to offer me, it offers me this. Nothing by chance, sir. Nothing by chance. Dreams are a key method our souls use to speak to us. The conscious mind is too busy and distracted most of the time to hear what the spirit has to say, so it tends to use the subconscious instead. Hidden Hand, I have for my whole life searched near and far for answers to questions. When I read your words, I am compelled from within to explore the complete meanings and truthfulness. I am forced to examine them to the fullest, and I am charged with comparing them to the truth within me. That is precisely the way it should be. Again, I would encourage you not to just blindly accept what I say as the truth. It never was my intention that anyone should make such an error in judgment. That is not to say that my words are not true, but one must weigh them up, meditate upon them, and decide for yourself in the light of your intuition and inner feelings whether or not these words feel true for you. Hidden Hand, my question I pose to you, with the greatest respect and humility, who will you stand before when we are all called home? We shall stand, as all shall, before our one infinite Creator. We already know that which awaits us in our coming fourth density negative polarity world. We shall have to experience the negative of our own creation and know what it feels like. We shall have to work off the karmic effect of our actions. But at the same time, knowing that this is a beautiful and intricate game that we are all co-creating together, we also know that we shall be rewarded with a hearty thank you and a job well done for the sacrifice that we've made in bringing this negative polarity into your game for you, that you may use it wisely to see that which you are not. Thank you for your questions. We wish you all the very best and ask our infinite Creator to bless your path. As you will be leaving us soon, I would be interested in finding verification for other possible sources of information for this knowledge. You mentioned the raw channelings, but I also see similarities in 3 other sources which have been discussed in this and other forums on the internet. I would appreciate your evaluation of the information coming from these sources in the light of your messages. They are A Course in Miracles, allegedly channeled by Christos, the Edgar Cayce material, in which the raw entity may have played a part, and the Terra Papers. Can those of us seeking to continue our understanding of these matters find anything of use in these sources? A Course in Miracles has some core truths within it, mainly along the lines of the law of radiation and attraction, but it is also littered with inaccuracies. I'm not aware of the Terra Papers. Edgar Cayce's work is significant. There are many distortions within it, but for the ones who are of a discerning mind, there is much strong meat to be ingested from its reading. Keep an open mind, but weigh it all up, as you should any philosophy that you allow to enter into the sacred place of your mind, and take the truths that resonate within you. You also mentioned 2 prior contacts in 1999 and 2003. Can you shed some more light and specifics on those sources? I assume they're not to be considered privileged to those who ask. Unfortunately, that is beyond my remit. The 2003 material was removed by the admins of the site as it was shared, as they felt that it was causing too much controversy. And the 1999 material was not released for the same reasons as that which I am sharing here. There was much truth within it, but our goals have changed, and in many ways, since that time, it would be misleading for me to point out to you its direction now. In fact, I've been specifically instructed by my own upline not to do so. I am sorry. Well, thank you for your assistance. Namaste. You are welcome. That is a wonderful word to have ended your communication with. If one would genuinely live by its essence, to recognize and honor the divine spark within each of us, we would be in for a massively positive harvest. Namaste to you too. We ask that our one infinite Creator blesses you all and guides your path. I wonder if Hidden Hand has read something called the Law of One. I've only picked through it, having just stumbled onto it after reading these posts, but it reads remarkably similar to Hidden Hand's responses here. So this is the hoax source, or it, I'm sorry. So is this a hoax source, or is it a book instead of the truth? Maybe Hidden Hand could enlighten us as to this Law of One. I have already made reference to this, the raw material, earlier in the topic. As I stated then, yes, it is the most accurate public information available in the world currently, and I strongly recommend its reading to anyone with an inquiring mind. I read some, but not all of the books when they first came out, some 25 years ago. And it is very similar to the knowledge that my family has, and have passed down for many, many generations. It's approximately 85 to 90% accurate. The inaccuracies occurred when the channel was weak and were not intentional. We know Ra, the entity, very well, and we are happy that they are even now still working here on the planet behind the scenes to prepare for the great harvest. I think I'm up to date with your questions now. If I've missed any that are not unimportant ones, then please let me know. We have 2 sessions left together, then I must take my leave. Do you know me? Do you know who I am? What part I play in all this? When will I awake? Will I awake? Should I awake? I feel it in me, but I'm afraid to let it out. Help me. Do I know you? As the individuated human expression typing to me over cyberspace? No, I do not. What part do you play in all of this? Well, what part do you want to play? The choice, as always, is entirely yours. Whether you are consciously aware of it or not, you are co-creating the storyline on this planet. My advice would be to do so. Consciously. When will you awake? When do you want to awake? Do you want to awake at all? If your answer to this question is yes, then use the catalyst and tools that we have provided for you. I've made many subtle and not so subtle, even overtly blatant statements within this topic as to how you may choose to do this. You said, I feel it in me, but I'm afraid to let it out. Help me. Why are you afraid? Do not reply to that question, but rather ask it to yourself during your quiet time where you work upon yourself. You do work upon yourself, don't you? If not, now would be a good time to start. Sit in silence, switch off all non-essential electrical appliance. Leaving the refrigerator on would probably be a good idea. The electromagnetic field that they create disturbs your brainwave patterns and makes it difficult for your mind to achieve the deeper alpha and theta states conducive with relaxing deeply and sharing your inner voice. Ask your infinite creator to help you and thank her, because you know he will. Be honest with yourself. Why are you afraid? Remember that this is a game that you are playing, and this is not reality. When you find and come to know your creator living within you, you will know that there is nothing to fear. Are the bloodlines that have been infused with the ancient wisdom trying to become gods themselves? There is no need to try. Humanity needs to grow beyond the stagnating concepts of gods. The idea of God takes the power out of your own hands and places it upon some shadowy unknown figure somewhere out there. In other words, outside of yourself. Instead of God, see Creator. So there is no need to try. We already are creators, and so are you. The only question is, will you create consciously or subconsciously? What is 1111? Think of it as an alarm clock. What are alarm clocks for? Please explain how newborn babies are infused with spirits after birth. They are not. A soul enters into its physical container usually long before the birthing process, sometimes later, but still before the actual birth. Does a website like this serve the purpose for negative generating? That depends on how you use it. It has the potential to be either negative or positive. It's up to you how you use the potential. What's wrong with having an ego, and why do New Age religions try to suppress the ego? Without an ego, it seems as though one can't ponder his own existence, or, in fact, learn from the wealth of knowledge that we are searching for in making mistakes and correcting those mistakes. There is nothing wrong with having an ego. Your ego is an excellent and invaluable tool. Yet, as with any tool, if you do not have it under control, it carries the potential to become dangerous and do you and others much harm. Hidden Hand, strangely my concern is that I will be recycled back into the wheel of life and be reborn with a new brain and lose everything that I've so arduously learned in this lifetime. Your soul remembers everything you've ever experienced. The only reason you don't remember it all now is due to what we term the veil of forgetfulness. If you came into each new incarnation with access to your soul memory, there's no point in your coming into space-time. It would be like playing a computer game with all the cheats. You wouldn't learn anything, and it takes the fun out of playing the game. Remember that this current physical body you carry around with you is not who you are. It's just the vessel for your essence. Who you are is real and cannot be destroyed. You will retain all of your memories of this life experience once you pass on to the realm of time-space, or that which some call heaven. Space-time is illusion. Time-space is real. The infinite being living within and around your quote-unquote body, namely your soul, is who you really are. The part of you that thinks and feels and loves, it will always be a part of you. My dream is to be a master such as yourself. I am not a master. I am a growing and evolving soul, just as you are. We're just at different stages of our development. You will get to where you desire to be. It takes time and patience. Be sure to make time to enjoy the journey. I endeavor each day to master myself and change, to develop a mind that has mastery over my body. I feel I have come so far in this lifetime, and yet not far enough. You are on the right path in that you are consciously choosing to work upon yourself. Many there are in this world who are not even aware of such a concept. Remember, though, that it is not only the mind that you must develop, but also your soul. Work with your feelings as well as your thoughts. Cultivate compassion, as that is the main thing that you will begin working with in the fourth density. See yourself within all others and treat others as you would like to be treated yourself. Then remember this one crucial thing: there are no others. My dream is to one day personally meet and greet masters like yourself and learn what you know. Then there is one thing you must do. Go and find yourself a mirror. Gaze deeply into it and then say this magic word: hello. As you will indeed meet with us backstage once the game is over. When you see us out of costume, you will recognize us as your age-old friends. Thank you for coming here and sharing your vast knowledge of the universe. I have so much to ponder. You are welcome. Thank you for your questions. I feel the desire within you to progress. You have it within yourself to be all that you wish to become, and much more that you cannot yet even imagine. We look forward to sitting down for a good old reminisce with you on the other side. In the meantime, keep trusting in and working upon yourself, and live each moment in thanksgiving to our one infinite Creator, and may our infinite Creator bless and guide your path. Honored sir or madam, I wish to be one to bring a new planetary energy into the world. As it is assumed that the families have great knowledge, I humbly request access to this small bit of needed information. A message to set up a more secure route of communication would be splendid, I presume. I am aware I can never be a member, but acolyte would suffice. I'm also aware a trade-off would be in the offering, and discussions of such a concept held with respect, though not with guaranteed acceptance. I await your reply. I am sorry, but this is not possible. One is born into the family, and raised in a very specific and rigorous way, which engenders unwavering loyalty. No matter how keen and sincere one may be to join us, we can only place our trust in those raised in our ways. I would not wish the conditioning process that we go through on anyone. It can be grueling at times, and it is too late to begin the process once childhood has passed. As for further communication, unfortunately, this is also not possible or allowable for me. I have given as much information as is permissible for me during this disclosure. There may be informational gems within these pages for those who seek to truly develop themselves. Some are obvious, others are more subtle and multi-layered. Take them within and ask your infinite Creator to bring you insight. We wish well upon your journey and look forward to seeing you at the after-show party. I'm still not clear on what this harvest is. A harvest means to reap what has been sown. By you. Not by us. We did not sow. Our infinite Creator did. We did not reap. Our infinite Creator does. We help to prepare the harvest by separating the wheat from the chaff, for want of a more eloquent metaphor. Will it be an instantaneous change, or will there no longer exist the physical realm as we currently know it to be and experiencing as an illusion? I've already covered this elsewhere in the topic. I would encourage you to read through it again and find the information I've already presented on how the harvest will occur and what the different variations of the experience will be. Thank you for answering my previous questions. I have some more if that's okay. Number 1. How can karma be overcome, if at all? Is there an end to the karmic cycle? Number 2, is time really as we perceive it, or is it another 3D illusion? And number 3, are your family members born with the knowledge of what they are and where they're from? If not, and it's all taught and passed down, have you ever doubted or questioned any of it? Thank you. You're welcome. Number 1, no. Karma cannot be overcome. It must be worked off. In other words, if you've hurt someone, be it physically, emotionally, or however else, you will have to, at some future point, experience what that felt like for them. The law of karmic effect is not a punishment. It is a tool of learning, which is set in place to promote personal growth and development. If you have to feel the consequences of your actions, there's a higher likelihood of your choosing a different course the next time around. It's also important to hold in mind that it works both ways. Seek, therefore, to ensure that the effect of your presence upon those others whom you encounter upon your journey are positive and beneficial. A karmic cycle is brought to completion once you have learned the lessons intended for you from it. If you keep repeating the same mistakes, you'll keep cycling through each time as you get the message and break the cycle. But yes, ultimately all of us will learn that which we need to learn, and all of us will find our way home. For some, it just takes longer than others. Number 2, linear time is more accurately described as an intentional fabrication. The true nature of time is cyclical, though remember also that even cyclical time is part of a creation, and creation, beautiful as it may be, is also an illusion, and more accurately, a thought form of our infinite Creator. Creation is not real, but the Creator and the co-creators of it are. Number 3. This is an excellent question, and I will devote some time to it. Firstly, there is a distinction to be made. When I speak of family in this particular reply, I am referring to the power lines, i.e., to those who do not originate from this planet. The bloodlines that you know of, while they are a part of our extended family, are not born with the same extent, spiritual esoteric power that we are. And in this response, I am referring to our true and pure family. We are not born with the same veil of forgetfulness that you are. The veil is still in place, but it would be most accurately described as being somewhat thinner. We see the invisible connections of life, which are hidden from you. because we retain access to more than just the third density perspective, not dissimilar to the manner in which some people can see what you call auras. This is because you are working your way up, whereas we have chosen to step down in order to help you. We could not do this as successfully if we had to forget all that we've learned. In other words, to you, everything appears as being separate. We see that this is not the case. We do not have direct soul memory, as in the manner that you remember what you did yesterday. But we may have access any portion of our soul memory we so choose when we focus upon it, often in a meditative state. Personally, my experiences are different again in other ways due to my specialty in the spiritual disciplines. But I will go into that in more detail later in response to another question. Yes, information is indeed passed down, though unlike for yourselves, any one of us may, with some effort, check the validity of that information from our personal and group soul memory. Basically, where you see yourselves as separate human beings, we see and know that we are one. Then I'm glad I picked up on that particular point. I found it to be a real ray of light, though I'm unsure what to do with it. This information feels as though it should comfort me, and yet it's difficult to feel comfortable knowing that evil, in part, makes us who we are, but thank you nonetheless. Evil is not who you are. It is part of the complex series of illusions that you use in the third density to show you who you are not. The further up through the densities you work, the less polarity plays an important part in the game. The sixth density, the density of unity, is the last level that polarity is a factor. But even then, it factors in a very different way. Instead of balancing positive and negative, you will be balancing love and light and compassion and wisdom. True, and I'm glad that you pointed that out to me. I think what I really meant when I said that you are alleviated is that your very essence is not evil or corrupt. And this alleviates you from my perspective because I'd forged an idea of the ruling elite as being compromised of terminally corrupted souls. No soul is terminally corrupted. Every soul is a beautiful, individuated portion of our one infinite creator. Souls play characters in the game of incarnation. Souls can play some really mean and nasty characters, but underneath the disguise, they will always be beautiful. Remember this every time one of these beautiful souls mistreats you as a part of their storyline. They're just playing their part, like any good actor does while on stage. Be thankful to them for their sacrifice and learn the lessons that they are bringing to you. You say we all mingle between incarnations, but I suspect the nature of our perception and interaction in that realm is not comparable to our earthly methods of interaction, and therefore, as a united entity, there will be no independent laughter. I have a few, what I feel are probably final, questions for you. Not so. Think in terms of individuated souls who can see and understand that they are not separate but interconnected. It is an illusion that space is empty. You still interact as an individuated, yet at the same time, you will see how we are all one. It is difficult to explain in a way that makes third density sense. We just do not have the words or concepts to describe it. We no longer need words where we are going. Number 1. How do you know all of this? I mean, really know. Clearly you've been taught in great depth about the nature of existence, but how do you know this firsthand? How is it more than faith for you? Have you been able to avoid forgetting upon reincarnation? I have made reference to this in my answer to the previous poster. Number 2, you seem to be suggesting that your methods of physical enslavement are intended to force us into spiritual awakening. But if that is so, why are your methods of spiritual suppression used against the general populace? Chemicals, organized religion, sociological. I understand why you obstruct our material lives, but not why you obstruct our spiritual development. Think of it as a test. Have you ever noticed how just when you think you found something that really feels like truth for you, something will always come along to make you doubt it? To make you doubt the truth, and in so doing, to also doubt yourself in believing it? It happens all the time. In fact, almost every time you have some new revelation that gets you all excited, and it happens quite by design. You cannot see this, however, as it's happening beyond third density comprehension, in a realm where everything can be seen as adjoining and relating to everything else. Synchronicity. All a magical part of our infinite Creator's ingeniously creative mind and excellent sense of humor and irony. Can you see how the test works? Just when you find something that you've weighed up and dissected with your discernment and decided to integrate it into your concept of truth, along comes the challenge to your newfound beliefs, usually in the form of an event or something that others may dissuade you. Your spiritual development, like all the other aspects of your progression, is something that you have to work for. How do you know if your newly discovered truth is really true if you're never tested on it? The test is this. In the face of a challenge, who do you trust? Do you trust what the outside world is showing you? Or do you hold fast to that which feels like truth deep within you? That is something you can only answer for yourself. I am sorry I do not have time left to respond to all of your questions, so I selected the ones that I felt to be the most important. I have enjoyed our communication, and I am happy to have made your acquaintance. While I must press on with more questions, ask our infinite Creator to bless and guide your path and give you the courage of your convictions. Be well, my friend. I look forward to meeting up with you when we've completed the game. I have one more question for you, if I may. What question has not been asked as of yet that is the most important for us to know, if any? And if there is any, would you consider it asked now? Not sure if this one does any good, but it stuck in my mind last night. An excellent and incisive question to ask. I think what I shall do is to save this question for the very end of our discourse. It will be an effective way to bring our time together to a close. Hidden Hand, I know you're trying to focus on spiritual questions and questions about the density shift, but if you could detract for a moment and answer my question about shape-shifting, I'd appreciate it. I will, but I must be very brief. I'm sorry. Shape-shifting is not a natural phenomenon. Shape-shifting creatures or races do not exist, at least certainly not in any realm, galaxy, or density where we have experienced. However, there are certain rituals that, when engaged in, enables this to take place. It has to do with the fact that the body, as is true of all physical things, is not really solid. Sure, it looks and feels as if it is, but in actuality, all matter is composed of atomic and subatomic particles of light within molecules and compounds. As I say, I'm being brief through necessity and don't have time to go into the science. There are certain rituals which, when undertaken, allow for a range of manipulations of the so-called body that's solid to take place. I have seen some grotesque images in my time, which I really prefer not to dwell upon. I trust that even if in some small way this will have answered your query, and this next question I will have to finish on for tonight. I have somewhere I must be. Hidden Hand, I wish to thank you for enlightening us with your words. It has been an utmost pleasure of mine to read what you have spoken. I do, however, have a couple of questions. As I look into myself, I see and feel as though I am an old soul who has learned many things and possibilities, How are we to know how far along we have come in regards to obtaining a higher spiritual being during the coming harvest? You are most welcome. Appreciation is always appreciated. I am unsure whether your question refers to now or once the great harvest is accomplished. I've already touched on what happens after in a few replies, so I'll go with the former. As for now, there is a simple method to check upon your progress. Despite what appears to being going on in the world at large, how loving and harmonious are your personal relationships? Remember that the world is your mirror, casting back at you the reflection of that which you have projected onto it. How many arguments do you find yourself engaging in? Is there bitterness and acrimony within the ranks? Do you look at others and think about how you would like to change them? Or do you love them and accept them as they are? Loving and accepting someone for who they are is known as unconditional love. That is something you will spend much time working upon when graduating into the fourth density positive. It's a good idea to get a head start. Now, loving and accepting someone as they are does not mean accepting abusive behavior, but it does mean loving and accepting the person or soul, not the soul's behavior. The behavior is not who they are. The soul within is who they are. The quality of your relationships is an excellent mirror from which to gauge the quality of your output, or in other words, that which you are creating. Do you look at a person and concentrate to a greater or lesser extent upon the things that you dislike about them or wish that you would change, or the qualities that you like and admire in them? Remember that we have said that all thought, word, and deed is creative. You get back exactly what you send out. So when you send out the thought, why is she so hard to live with? Why is he always behaving like this? Ask yourself, what exactly are you doing? Now, focus here, as this is so obvious you could miss it, and in fact, most do. Take away the question from your sentence, and essentially you are saying, she is so hard to live with. He is always behaving like this. Do you see what you're doing? Remember, all thought is creative. You have just created the very behavior in that person you wish to change, simply because you do not understand the law of radiation and attraction. Now, try an experiment. Take someone in your life that you love, but sometimes have trouble getting along with. Think about the thoughts you have projected about that person, the negative thoughts. Ask yourself, does the behavior that you do not like about that person in any way correspond to the thoughts that you have been having about them? If you're honest with yourself, it's a strong bet that it does. Sure, they must have behaved that way in the first place to make you notice that you didn't like it. But we all have days off sometimes. The more you focus on that behavior, the more you are going to see it. It's just life, doing what it does, and conforming to your expectations about the way that it will be for you. Now, having recognized this, what will you do about it? Simply notice your negative thoughts as they arise, literally catch yourself as you are having them, and then simply change your perspective. Focus instead on the things that you like about this person, how you love their smile, the sound of their happy laughter, the way that they do such a nice thing, how helpful and loving that they can be. Keep putting those positive thoughts out. Persevere, as you may have a bit of negative work to undo at first, but just keep catching yourself and focusing on the positive. Then prepare yourself for an almost magical transformation of your circumstances. Always monitor your thoughts and pay attention to their quality, because what you think about is directly related to what you will see around you and what life will always show you. It is the difference between conscious and subconscious creation. And what our loved ones, or more appropriately my soulmate, who I love dearly, will I be able to take this new journey of the harvest alongside my loved ones? And that will depend upon whether or not you both graduate or have to repeat the cycle. Though rest assured, even if for one lifetime you were to be apart, you will always be together in time-space between incarnations. And you will always be able to plan many future lives or incarnations together. And one more thing, as I know there are others who are longing for questions answered, why do we dream in metaphors which make no sense? I do not have time left to respond sufficiently, but the short version is that the universal mind speaks in archetypal imagery, in a similar way that the writing in some of our Oriental languages uses a system whereby a collection of words or meaning are contained within what is essentially a symbol. So the universal mind uses archetypes to communicate in dream time. Just like understanding any new dialect, you need to learn the language first. Thank you so very much, Hidden Hand. I strongly wish I may meet you someday and have a good talk. You are very welcome, and it will happen as you wish. Not now, in this lifetime, but soon when we finish playing this game together. No rush, though, friend. We've got all the time-space in the world. All the time-space in creation, actually. This will be our last session together. I will do my very best to pack in as much as we can. I'm sorry for those who must have missed my earlier post from yesterday, which I clearly stated that I already have more questions than I have time to answer, and that you have spent time in writing our new ones. My time is so limited, I am unable to respond to you. I have a long journey I must make shortly, and I cannot be late for it. I've always been very confused and not clear on the subject of God. Having been tossed around from religion to religion from my parents, it's hard to discern which God to believe or have faith in. Should I keep having faith in the fact that the world around me is God and that there is not one particular being that deserves faith? Religion is either actually created or at very least heavily influenced by us. There is no such thing as God. God is a human concept, which is a misunderstanding of the original concept of creator. This is further confused, as there are many macrocosmic level creators, or logos, as has been explained previously. God implies some separate entity which is outside of you, which you must supplicate and to worship. Our one infinite creator, and almost all of our logos and sublogos, do not want your worship. They want you to understand creation and your place within it as a co-creator. Ultimately, there is a supreme being in the form of the one infinite creator, but we are all a part of it, rather than its subjects. None of the names given for this supreme being by your religions are the true name, but they are indeed correct, in that there is one supreme being, namely the infinite creator. They just have different concepts about it, which spring from the texts their religion is based upon. Do not worship your infinite creator, but rather live in a state of thanksgiving and service to it for bringing you into being, and for this amazing game that it's created, in which we may forget who we really are in order to remember and know ourselves again as the creator. So basically, the form that we have is actually just a body with bones and skin, and so on and so forth. What matters is our soul, or being that's inside of us, that makes us question and deal with our surroundings and life. So when we die, the pain and suffering is just part of our human shell, and has nothing to do with our soul, or being which will carry on into the next life or density. Indeed, pain and suffering are just aspects of the game. They feel extremely real while we are playing the game, and indeed they have to, in order to make you believe that the game is real. No one really dies, but rather the matter of human form is shed, much like the chrysalis of a caterpillar when the butterfly emerges. Look upon physical incarnation as the chrysalis in which you may transform. I feel as though I'm like Shelby, but have lost my way, or I'm just too confused or not in tune with my inner self, that I cannot figure out what my purpose is in this game. Is there anything that you can do to shed upon this? Your purpose in the game is to work upon yourself, to grow, develop, and transform yourself into a more positive and loving being. You had certain goals that you had planned to achieve before incarnating here, which is a main reason for the veil of forgetfulness being in place. Because if you already knew that, what your goals were, the game would be too easy. Look at the things in your life that you most love to do. Ask yourself what makes you most happy. Experience these things as often as possible, as they will be related to some of the things you chose to put into your soul contract to do here. Also, look at the negative things that often seem to recur during your lifetime. It will be highly likely that these are also things that you chose to come here to work upon. Let us say, for example, that you chose to come here to work upon patience during this incarnation. You will likely find that you have a tendency towards impatience, and that life will often bring experiences to you in order to test your patience. The idea being that rather than losing your temper, you work upon your patience and resolve to become a more temperate and patient soul. This game analogy may be applied to all manner of circumstances in which life will test you. Look for and begin to identify any recurring issues you have that you perhaps struggle to deal with and seem to present themselves to you time and time again. Perhaps anger, being abusive, selfishness, hatred, cynicism. The list goes on. Whenever you find recurring circumstances, it is because you are being presented with opportunity after opportunity to work upon the issues until you get it right and choose a way of behavior that is more positive. Once you successfully identified these issues within your life, worked upon them, and used them as the tools of transformation that they are, to improve the quality of your character, you will notice that these things seem to almost cease to disappear or cease to appear in your life. You will still be presented with them at varying intervals to check that you have not forgotten that which you've learned, but they will be fewer and far between. I hope this may give you some clues as to how to identify the things you came here to do and how to go about working on yourself. My life has been troubled, for a while now, having been so soaked and brainwashed in the human life form and way of life, but lately I feel as though I'm starting to wake up and see things more clearly. Am I doomed because of the path I've taken for most of my life, or can I still save my soul? You are not doomed, and your soul does not require salvation. No one's soul does. There is nothing to save it from. It is good to hear that you're awakening, and that is another reason why I'm here at this time speaking with you. Our infinite Creator has many messengers, and He uses us all in His own unique ways to help with the awakening and prepare as many people as possible for the coming great harvest. But as I say, you are not doomed, and there is nothing to save yourself from, except perhaps from ignorance. And I do not mean that in an insulting way, but rather ignorance as in a lack of understanding. At the very worst, you will have to repeat as many third density cycles as is necessary in order for you to learn the things that you need to learn in order to progress and graduate to the fourth density positive. But one thing is for sure, you will get there in the end. All will find their way home to our infinite Creator. Rest also assured that you will not find yourself lost in your cycling. At the end of each physical incarnation, as I previously stated, you return to time-space, or that which has been described as heaven, where you shall once again know yourself as you truly are, a unique and beautiful soul and part of our Creator. You only forget who you are during the incarnation. The object of the game is to wake up within the dream, and in effect become a lucid dreamer, to remember who you really are during the game and then begin working upon the things you came here for. Rereading this topic with discernment will provide you with plenty of clues on how you may choose to go about this. Thank you for your time here with us. I wish you the best. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and listening to your knowledge. We wish the same for you, brother, and ask that our infinite Creator bless you and guide you on your path. See you when you get home. So is the harvest an all or nothing event, or will it be a mixed harvest? A few moving to fourth density, a few moving towards fourth density self-service, a great majority repeating the third density, and if only 94% go to fourth density negative, then you have to repeat third density and try again for 95% negative harvest? If so, then I would hate to imagine how much more negative your people would make the earth at that point. I'm still confused about your part in this. In order for you to move to the fourth level, it must be a 95% negative harvest. In other words, to reward your people with the fourth density, 95% of human souls have to be as far away from the infinite source as humanly possible. That just doesn't feel right to me. It does not feel right to you, as it is not right. You have not entirely grasped the concept. I shall attempt to clarify. The harvest is mixed. Those who are 51% or over on the positive path will graduate to fourth density positive. There you will work upon love and compassion, and it will be a very beautiful world to reside within for you. There will be very little negativity, just a small amount so that you can still use it to exercise your free will in choosing who you are not. But it will be so much more obvious than it is here that the negativity is a tool to be used. You will see interconnectedness of all things, and you will know that you are not separate from one another or from life itself. You will use words much less, unless you choose to. Telepathy becomes the normal method of communication. Everything is open, and you cannot hide your thoughts from others. From that incarnation onwards, you will not have to experience third density incarnation again unless you later choose to do so from higher densities, as we have done in order to perfect the art of service, or unless you somehow in a fourth density world of abundant love and beauty inextricably manage to be 95% negative at the time of the future harvest, and slide back down the snake instead of ascending up the ladder, to use another game metaphor. Back to this current great harvest. We do not require a 95% negative harvest as you have deduced. Instead, what we require is for us, personally, to attain a 95% negative polarity for ourselves, not you. We must be 95% negative, at least, in order to graduate to fourth density negative and earn the opportunity to clear our karmic record of all the negativity that we've created on this planet before returning to our rightful place as sixth density guardians of our galaxy and teachers of wisdom to those in the lower densities that ask for our assistance. If we do not make it, we will remain trapped in the third density cycle with all those between 94% negative and 50% positive, what I termed the lukewarms, and have to continue to provide negative polarity for you. Harsh as it is, our only way out is to be as negative as possible to graduate. We cannot choose to be positive, because that is not why we came here. That is not why we came here to do for you. That's why I often have referred to all the horrible things we've done here as our sacrifice. You said that the lukewarm people at the time of the harvest would not notice anything has happened, but they'd be on a different planet. Do you mean that they'd wake up with no memory of what has occurred but still be on the same physical body? Or they'd wake up with a new physical body and no memory of the past life? There will be a short experience of 0-point time where you feel utterly at one with your infinite creator. It will be a feeling of blissful, ecstatic expansiveness and unity, while your physical vehicles, bodies, are dissolved back into the light and transported to your new environment. When that transition is complete, the 0-point time will end, and you will appear in your new game zone or planet. You will look the same, think the same, feel the same, and in fact, it will be just like you all had some mystical experience, and life will carry on as normal for you. Same houses, family situations, jobs, friends, lovers, Everything will seem the same as before. You will not remember the great harvest or earth changes that occurred as the planet Earth heals and regenerates herself. But you will recall your mystical experience, and that will give you hope for a new opportunity to choose a more positive future for yourselves. There will still be the negative polarity to overcome, but if we are successful in our negative graduation, which we shall be, others are standing by to take our places, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. We have more than done our job in discharging our service to you, and we are tired. It's time for us to clear our karmic record and return to being of light, which is our true essence. You keep saying help is available to those searching for the truth. All we have to do is ask, what is the best way to go about this? I've never had the ability to remember any of my dreams. Read back. I've given guidance on dream recall previously. It takes practice and is a slow process, but you have to start somewhere. Be patient with yourself. What specifically can I do to receive guidance on how to reach a state where it's easier to discern truth from untruth? Work upon yourself. Go inside in a state of meditative contemplation. Still your mind, that your soul may have room in which to make its still small voice heard. Ask your infinite creator to help you and listen to your inner voice. Be patient. It takes time to develop this inner communication after a lifetime of neglect. When you persevere and keep working on yourself, gradually it will come to you, and when it does, you must learn to trust in your inner guidance, no matter what others may say. That is the ultimate test, to trust what you know deep inside as your truth, even when the whole world tells you that you are wrong. It is hard work to trust yourself when all those around you doubt you or call you crazy, but it's the job that you came here to do. The only real and lasting truth is a self-realized one. Messengers can come and go and show you truth until they're blue in the face, but it will not be your truth until you have realized it for yourself, deep within the core of your being, that it feels true for you. You should never accept something as true, just because someone tells you that it's so. But when your inner voice guides you that a truth is true, and you feel that old warm feeling of excitement welling up from somewhere deep within that says, yes, I knew it, hold on to that feeling. Feelings are the language of your soul, and guard it carefully, as you can be sure that your newfound beliefs will be challenged in many ways. It is designed this way to test you. Your inner truth must be able to withstand the test of time and will be given a thorough examination. Hold fast to it so long as it is what you know to be deep and true within. Allow nothing or no one outside of you to pull you from your path, no matter how fiercely they contend with you. They are just doing their job, even if they may well not even be aware that this is what they are in fact doing. They are performing an important service to you, and you should be grateful to them for that. We wish you well on your journey and ask our infinite creator to protect and guide you upon your path. Arc de Triomphe. I do not have time to go into your many questions, so I'll select a few I can answer briefly so I can get as many done as I can. Do the Orion occultist groups specifically target civilizations before they become a social memory complex? Yes, but that does not make them immune to targeting others also, if they allow any chinks to appear in their armor. In short, the Orion Empire are fourth density negative. They are lost in the sense that they have drifted so far from their true nature that despite many attempts, we have been unable to reach them and to help them to develop. They exist within their group soul complex, mostly as a group of discarnate entities within the astral planes of the planets they visit. They have no intention on returning home, and instead seek to feed off of the negative energy to keep themselves going, as they are disconnected from their inherent natural life force, by refusing to abide by the infinite creator's incarnational principles. The time we spend between lives in time-space is intended to restore our soul energy from within in order to continue our upward progression. They are essentially imprisoned within the fourth density negative cycle, as there is no negative harvest beyond the fourth density. So they spend their time traveling the galaxy, basically using the dark side of the force, or negativity, to achieve their means. They will eventually be brought back before the Infinite One Creator and dissolved back into the intelligent infinity. Though they are being given every chance, for as long as possible, to learn the error of their ways and return to seeking the positive and to begin their journey back home. The main trouble is they do not want to go home. They see themselves as being gods and do not intend to submit to the authority of the One. Why all the sudden ramping up of control mechanisms? The great harvest is fast approaching. Time to really bring on the polar extremes. The Montauk Project. Fact or fiction? The project is fact, though the publicly available information is in some ways corrupted. Best ways to decipher between truth and fiction, other than what we perceive to be truth, specifically in concerning the New Age agenda and dogmatic churches' ideologies. Just follow your heart. Listen to and trust your inner voice. Please explain the wanderer's roles and what value it is to be a wanderer if you have no recollection of past lives. Also, how does this play with the law of non-intervention? That's if they are here to help people. The wanderers, or travelers as they're known, are those from higher densities who have chosen to incarnate here at this time in order to perfect service to others. They still have to remember who they are, and part of the concern is that sometimes even they do not manage to awaken in the game. Such is the power of the illusion. They are here to awaken themselves and then to help awaken others to prepare for the coming harvest. Though even if they fail to awaken, they are not bound by the third density cycle, as they've already mastered it. Once their incarnation is over, they are free once more to return to their appropriate levels. Are there any non-corrupted parts of the Bible? And if so, what Bible version would you suggest? No. As with all sacred texts, they have been distorted from the original information that was given to each translation. Though, again, as with all sacred texts, there is still much truth hidden within them, much of it being metaphorical. If you can find pre-King James versions, that's the closest you'll get. Good luck with that. Was the Rothschild lineage the organizer of the Illuminati in which the Weishaupt later formed? No, Weishaupt was just a puppet on a string. The Rothschild lineage, though it's not its original name, were the preeminent line closing the net of control over humanity. But even they are a lesser line within the family. As I've said, the names that you know do not have the real power. They are a part of the family, but not an original part. My question is this: what can I do to attract more like-minded individuals to come together to uplift my people's turning to the path of ascension? I've decided that this is what I can do to express my personal act of service to others. And a very wise and compassionate decision it is. We are proud of you. The most important thing is not to force things, not to be so impassioned with your delivery of your message that you put people off of the content of the message itself. There is a balance that needs to be found between your urgency to awaken others and your compassion for the lack of understanding in their condition. Always adhere to the law of free will and never force your message. In getting your message out there, while being informative, always do your best not to feed the fear and the paranoia, as this will act contrary to your intentions of raising the vibration to positive. Deliver your message in a way that emphasizes the hope and the true beauty and reality of our inherent oneness with the infinite Creator. Be as a light, shining in the darkness. Do not burn those who come to you willingly. In other words, Do not become evangelical with your message, but rather be the enigmatic and loving wise old sage to whom others are drawn to because of the quality of his vibration rather than the volume of his rhetoric. Most importantly, practice that which you preach. Others must be able to see the effect of our infinite Creator conducting his wonderful work through you. We wish you well in your task and are hopeful of a positive harvest for you. But above all things, keep working upon yourself and keep choosing the positive and being service to others, because you desire to, not because you feel you must. We ask our infinite Creator to bless and to guide your path. Earth changes. While I understand that death is not the end of my existence, I like my body and I would not like to get caught out of any earth changes if I can possibly accept it. So, number one, if your family permits, please, could you reveal which places are more likely to be relatively safe during the next 3 to 4 years? I mean, would the south of China or Patagonia be good bets? Any other places? I'm not permitted to say much here, as there must be those who remain in their locations to help others who are not aware of what is coming. Many of you, whether you are aware or not, have chosen this lifetime for that reason. But if you are insistent upon escape, choose the highest places you can find, particularly the southern hemisphere if you're able to. Peruvian Andes is a good place to be. There's much spiritual power being exercised there, and the Cuero elders are well aware of what's going down. Is the earth hollow? Hold on, let me check. Yes, it's definitely hollow. If so, how does one gain access? I'm not permitted to say. Could you elaborate further on the mechanisms behind the fantastic positive results seen by people who embark on service of path to others? I invite you to really deeply explain the intricacies of the energy play at work. While you get out what you put in is true, I'd like to see the whole concept dissected and fully explored. If you reread some of my posts, I believe I have already done so. I recently experienced healing of a minor health problem by sending love to all the sick people in the world. How does this work? Not why, how? Because there is only one of you here. Understand that at a deep core level of your being, and you will understand how it works. As you do unto others, so you do unto yourself. You claim your family was put here to be the negative influence of the world. Is there a family it is asserting a positive influence in the world as well? Is it up to us, humanity, to be that positive force? An interesting question. There is such a family, or group more accurately, but you cannot see them, and neither are you aware of their existence. They help the planet from a secret inner location by the quality of the energy work they engage in and project outward to you from the source. Yes, it is up to you to be the changes that you wish to see in yourself and in the world. Your goal is a negative harvest, yet you clearly are touting the benefits of a positive life. This seems antithetical to your goal. That is not so much a question as an observation, but if you could elaborate on that, I would appreciate it. Another very perceptive question, thank you. Our goal is a negative harvest for ourselves, not for you. We provide the catalyst of negativity for you, and it's up to you what you do with it. The drastic extent of the negativity we create, though, has more to do with us than it has to do with you. Some of my earlier replies should make that clear why it's so. Also, in response to your observation regarding the antithetical nature of some of what I've shared here, there is a simple explanation. Come with me.